Hello, everybody! Hope you're all doing well. I'm gonna make sure that's broadcasting out to you guys. Yes, it is. Perfect. So, welcome back to our, presumably, I'm gonna try to damn well make sure of it, final Fruit of Grisaia stream. I apologize that I had to cancel yesterday. It's just I got home from work. I was dealing with a migraine. Like, it kind of started at work. Probably because I was up and down the ladder so much then. Then I just kind of got home. I tried to just kind of sit, relax a bit, and it just kind of kept getting worse and worse. So that's... I initially tried to put it off, but it just got back. I just wouldn't be able to stream properly at all with that thing. So that's why I canceled. So I apologize for everyone that was really waiting yesterday. But that's okay, because we have today. That's why I made Saturday this kind of to be decided, because you never know, something can happen. Whether it takes too long, or, you know, migraine happens. In fact, it's kind of there still right now, but it's not to the point where I can't focus. So hold on, let me just... Ooh, good lord, that's loud. There we go. Alright, I'm good now. Alright! Yeah, enough of that, talk about stuff you guys probably don't care too much about, but I am here now. Grisaia is loaded up. We're finishing it today. We are finishing it today. Because I want to finish it. I want to get Yumiko's route done. Because we are that close to the end, at least from what at least Mochi was saying. Speaking of Mochi, after if we do, we should finish this today, like this morning, however long it takes. So remember that about 7 o'clock tonight, I will be back on stream with Mochi, and we'll be discussing Grisaia. We'll be talking about the routes. So yeah, we got a little mini collab. Well, not really mini. Who knows how long it'll take. We have a collab together today after I finish the game, finally. Talk about the good, the bad, the so-so. Who the best girl truly is, even though he's heart set on one and I'm, dead set on another. Let me just actually, I know he's not here, but use this command anyway. Check him out. Just check him out. He's awesome. He's absolutely awesome. Plays a wide variety of visual novels. Also plus plays some Pokemon from time to time as well. And as my little command there states, he's smarter than the average bear. He has based takes and at epic times. So, we are continuing on to Yumiko's route, our final route. What happened the last time we played through? Very simply, they were still continuing to be their fugitive selves on the run from her dad. Things were kind of taking a sour turn because Yumiko's still kind of feeling like she's a complete burden to Yuji. So while he was out to work, Yumiko got herself into a loop of thinking how much of she's just kind of letting him down, like ruining his life essentially, having to be on the run with her. So she goes out to find a payphone and tries to call her dad, and just as the line connects, she hangs up, realizing, what the hell did I just do? And then once Yuji does finally get home, she tells him what happened, and instead of, like, yelling at her or anything, he basically said, it's okay, you realized it was a bad idea, but we need to leave now. Because they certainly tracked where that call came from, so where they're hiding out... Yeah, it was bust, so they had to leave immediately, unfortunately. And while riding a train toward their next destination, Yuji remembers something he promised he would take Yumiko to, and also something that could probably brighten her spirits, at least. That was an amusement park. She's always wanted to go to an amusement park. So, Yuji finally did. He took her to one. And she had a great time, like, an amazing time. And their last ride of the day, actually, was just on a, carousel together. It's a childish ride in Yuji's mind, but it's something Yumiko always wanted to go on. So they went on it and just had a nice, heartfelt talk with each other. Yuji just, reaffirming, you're not a burden. You being born wasn't useless and bad. Because I am glad you were born. If you were not born, I wouldn't have met you, kind of thing. You gave my life purpose just by being you, so thank you for being born, kind of thing. Just, I mean, kind of laying it on pretty thick and cheesy, but honestly, it was a very sweet moment, and she was very clearly trying to, not cry much, but clearly she was. So then, on their way away from the amusement park, Yuji had to ask a question. It's like, okay, Yumiko, what do we want to do now? Do we want to continue to run away from your father for who knows how long, constantly looking over our shoulder, but always being together? Or do we want to confront your father? Taking the chance of us being separated for life, but it would, it could end up with us finally being able to be together free and clear forever. And the choice we went with is confront her father. So, after renting a car, they took a little trip somewhere that Yumiko didn't know where they were going. Apparently it took a few days for them to set this up, Yuji even contacting JB to let him know what they were doing. And I guess she was kind of fully supportive of it. Where did Yuji end up driving the two of them? Back to Mihama Academy. Went back to the academy with all the girls. All the girls are back. It's been a year, apparently, since they had initially left. And oh my god, my hair looks awful. Oh well, it always looks bad. It's been a year since they had last seen any of them, but they all welcomed them back with open arms. Mostly because Yuji had called them ahead of time to let them know what the fuck they were doing. Yumiko completely in the dark, by the way. Apparently, they are our backup. They're their backup to help confront her father. So, where this is gonna go, I do not know. So, yeah. Sorry, I'm fiddling with, if anyone's in the Discord, they saw I got a very specific type of mouse pad in the mail. I'm just fiddling it so it's in a specific position to actually use my wrist. It's my first time using a booba mouse pad. So I'm just trying it out today, just for the hell of it. Just to see, is it actually comfortable? Is it actually worthwhile? If not, it's there for the novelty because of a VTuber I watch somewhat. And also because hive mind. If you know, you know. So, enough of that recap. Let's load up the save, and let's finish Fruit of Grisaia today. Oh yeah, Michiru was like dumbstruck that we were back. And are you... 1 second. Oh my god, why am I getting a million fucking things right now? I'm just gonna check something real quick. I'm not gonna throw my BRB screen up. I'm just gonna go look at something real fast, so just one moment. Sorry about that. Just had to check something. That's all good. Alright, here we go. Alright. Where should I even begin? After everyone settled down inside the room, I paused to collect my thoughts. I've actually taken quite a number of steps without Yumiko's knowledge. And in some cases, matters are tangled enough that explaining systematically might prove challenging. And I gotta check one more thing again, sorry. I'm not gonna put my BRB screen up, I'm just gonna be right back. Okay, there we go. Sorry. Makes sense. Clearing up your questions should make things nice and comprehensible.
じゃあまずこの場所についてどうしてまだ学園が残っているの？そしてみんなはどうしてここにいるの？
From the question, I'm assuming you thought this school was going to be shut down? Yumiko nods.
だって嫌な言い方だけれど、ここはもともと私一人のためにあの人が作った場所だから。
When he disappeared, so did the meaning for its existence. Is that your line of thought?
ええ。だから戻ってきてすぐにそれが気になったのよ。卒業しているはずのスオーさんまでいるし、どういうことなのかって。
Very good question, actually. Yeah, she would have Amane would have graduated by now. So even if the school was still open, she wouldn't be here. Technically. But if the school did close down, Machina would be forced to go back to her family, I think. And weird. I mean, she doesn't have to become, you know, the... then again, her existence would be, you know, proven once more. Despite, you know, all the drama that happened in her route. So that would stir up a lot of shit, if the fact that she was just, you know, out and about again. Okay, so I don't know what's going on there if the school did close. Sachi would just go back to her uncle's, I guess. That's like the only place she can go if this school closed. Michiru? Where the fuck would she go? I guess just back to her family? That's it? Strange. I mean, everyone else kind of has a place to go. It's Machina. That's the one that's got the real issue going here. If the school were to suddenly close, just because of this is where she's technically being hidden. Oh, that's weird. So why didn't the school close? The super senior in question responds with a bright, casual smile.
まあ、榊さんとユージがいなくなった後、そういう話も出たんだけどね。
Sachi nods and follows up Amane's interruption with a comment of her own.
ミニベロを見せられて共謀してたんじゃないかって言われたりもしました。
No! Her fucking bike. I really am sorry about that. Must have been a real headache.
まったくよ。私がどれだけ苦労したと思ってるのよ。
We're talking to you, Michiru!
チルチル何もしてへんやん。思いつきでとりあえず首突っ込むのはやめた方がいいわよ。うっさいわね。私だってあの時はいろいろと考えることはあったんだから。ユージが何を考えてるのか、ユミコといつの間にそんな関係になってたのかとか。
She's just rambling. I'm gonna get back on topic now. The suspicion that they helped arrange our escape was cleared up eventually. Soon afterward, the principal informed everyone the school would be closing its doors.
でも、そうなっちゃうとユージたちが帰ってくる場所がなくなっちゃうから。
Oh my god, she's still going in the background.
なんとかして私たちで残せないか、学園長を通じてうまい具合に説得してもらったのよ。一体どういう風に？ここが残っている限り、そして私たちがここに住んでいる限り、風見さんたちが戻ってくる可能性がありますよと話をしてもらったんです。
Okay.
さも罠を仕掛けるかのように地図に一芝居打ってもらったのよさ。
That would work.
狙いは成功。学園も寮もひとまずは存続が決まった。
Alright, so they kept it around for a bit, but if it went on too long, they would have just shut it down entirely. Okay, that makes sense.
まあ、しばらくの間は周辺を妙なのがうろうろしていたけど、それも時間が経つにつれて減ってきたしね。松島さんが見回りをしていたのもそのためだったのね。そう大事な任務だからね。
Oh, Michiru.
今日当番なの忘れてたくせによう言うわ。みちる様、サチはいつもおそばにいますからね。寝坊ぐらい多めに見てよ。あとサチ、かわいそうな子扱いすんなよ。
Anyway, I think that basically covers your first question. Make sense?
ええ。ではもう一つ。これが本題だけど、どうやってこれからあの人に立ち向かうの？
Good question.
ここに戻ってきたからには何か考えがあってのことなのよね。
Yeah, of course. Instead of continuing, I turn to Sachi and nod. Sachi indicates her understanding with a moment of eye contact, then opens the notebook PC she's been holding and turns it to face us. A spreadsheet program appears on the screen, with a list of names in the first column and thick blocks of detailed information stretching out to the side.
これは？
Yumiko looks it over for a moment, then glances at me with a confused expression on her face. Before explaining that, let me ask you a question, Yumiko.
Huh?
Why has your father, Sakaki Michiaki, been pursuing you so doggedly in the first place?
どうしてって、それはあの人の会社の跡継ぎに血縁のある私を添えて道具としていいように利用するため。娘だからどうこうというより先にそれが立っていると思うわ。
Okay. I nod deeply. That's right. Sakaki Michiaki leads the East Beach group, and he wants to make you into his puppet. Those are the two facts that caused this situation.
その通りよ。でも、どうして今さらそんなことを改めて言うの？
You don't see where I'm going here?
まさか、あの人をトップの座から退けるということ？はい、正解です、榊さん。
Oh my god, we're gonna perform a coup? Yumiko shakes her head back and forth in disbelief.
無茶よ、そんなの。社長を交代させるには取締役会の承認が必要だわ。そんなにうまくいくはずが。
Well, we can have. How about we use he's using up so much company time, resources, and manpower to try to hunt down his daughter for over a year. He's been just abusing this power to try and get back his daughter, who's clearly run away entirely. I think we go with that. The way he talks to his subordinates too about that fact. I'm sure we could use the use that as an argument against the board of directors. That's my thought.
こちらをご覧いただけますか?
Once again, Sachi gestures towards the screen of her notebook computer.
東浜グループは東浜ホールディングスという持ち株会社がすべての株式を保有しています。そしてその持ち株会社の株式の保有比率は
With a click on the trackpad, she flips from the dense spreadsheet to an easily comprehensible pie graph.
公共の交通機関を所有している関係から国土交通省が約3割、他はおおよそ 10% 程度の保有率で電力、銀行、保険、建設の各社が保有しています。
Okay.
肝心の榊道明氏の個人所有分は数%というところですね。
He's president of the company, but he doesn't have that much voting power. Okay, yeah, we just gotta get a majority on our side. 51% is all you need to have that majority, people. Thank you, Yu-Gi-Oh, for that. Get 51% of the voting stock on your side, and you have total control. No one can go against you. If it was 50-50, well, now you've got an equal say, and if that equal say goes against you, nothing you can do. But if you got that 51%, that extra 1%, you have that majority, and there's nothing the other half can do. The other bit can do. So that's it. You just need that 51% on your side. And even if Michiaki gets the rest of it on his side, there's nothing you can do. Majority rules.
ねえ、マキナ。サチってさっきから一体何言ってんの？ねえ。いいからそこに置いてあるギョニソでも食っとけ。な。保有比率の件は分かったわ。でもそれがさっきの話にどうつながるの？風見さんから依頼を受けて、私たちはその切り崩し工作を行ったんです。切り崩し？株式の所有企業をってこと？
Okay, how have they been doing this?
いやー、榊さんを前にして言うのもなんだけどさ、お父さん結構恨み買ってる部分もあったみたいでね。
Okay.
ガチガチかと思ったけど、意外とうまくいったのよさ。はい、少々危ない橋も渡りましたが、風見さんの指令通り、相手方をこちらにつけるための情報を確実に集めてまいりました。
Okay, good. How much we got? How many of these stockholders we got? And what percentage? We need that 51. 51 is the magic number.
なんかよくわかんないけど、本当にあんたを敵に回したくはないわね。私は。
Well, I can't disagree with Michiru on that one.
と言っても、せいぜい私にできるのは潜入工作レベルのことで、巨大な企業相手にあれこれといった大掛かりなことまでは不可能です。
I mean, out of all of them, Makina and Michiru have the next most amount of money, so they could potentially, slip a few dollars their way to help convince them even more. I mean, Makina has direct access. Then again, it was because she took out, you know, all of her money that she had and gave it to Yuji was how her family was tipped off that she was around. And, you know, actually functional again. Michiru? I mean, just gotta suck up to Dad. That'd probably work. Maybe. Who knows? Hmm.
そうよね。だとしたら一体
As Yumiko's face fills with questions, I lightly drop a hand on top of the crown of her head. And that's why JB and I arranged a few things behind the scenes.
ユージと春寺さんが一体どのぐらい前から
Since right after our initial escape.
そんな前からだったの
So this has been a year in the making. That's amazing. I love this. 1 year ago, Yumiko and I chose to flee together. At the time, I said we were going to look for an answer, not just run away. And just as those words might suggest, I began a quiet search from the shadows, seeking a way for Yumiko to earn genuine freedom.
というわけで、現在の反主流派にはこのようなメンツがいるわけです。
Chiara! I see. With a little prodding, we really might stand a chance. To eliminate the problem posed by Sakaki Michiaki, we need only deprive him of power. It didn't take long for me to reach that simple conclusion. But as a fugitive with only a few students for allies, there didn't seem to be a practical way of making it happen. That changed, surprisingly enough, with a fruitative proposal from JB. Sakaki Michiaki had meddled directly in Ichigaya's internal affairs in this matter, inspiring widespread resentment. Oh, fuck yeah! So we essentially have Ichigaya on our side to help with this too. That's amazing. I knew that was gonna come back. This motherfucker messed with their system, installing some general that he knew personally, trying to get Yuji kicked out. Just to make things go, oh, this is beautiful. Oh my god, yes, yes. Certain higher-ups had directly authorized an attempt to arrange his dismissal. However, JB was in frequent contact with Sakaki Michiaki as our liaison. It was too dangerous for her to take any direct action. I was assigned her direct subordinate, a woman named Chiara, to assist in planning the coup.
現在はまだ過半数に達していません。今後は敵に気づかれないように協力してくれる勢力を増やしていくことが必要となります。
So slowly doing this over the course of a year. Oh my god, I love this. Right. I've already explained matters to the others at the dorm. Go ahead and get in contact with them as well.
わかりました。
To our extreme good fortune, there was already what JB called a hostile internal power operating inside the East Beach ownership, and it didn't prove difficult to make them into our allies. In any case, we carried our complex preparations forward carefully, but steadily, aiming to arrange a day of reckoning. Not that I mentioned any of that to Yumiko at the time. Not too long ago, we finally managed to secure a majority for the opposition faction. I take out my cell phone and hold it up for Yumiko to see. You know how we hid out for a few days before coming here?
あれもこのことに関係していたの
Just stalling for time while our allies called an extraordinary general meeting. Agenda's pretty simple. A resolution for a certain board member's dismissal.
解任動議
That's right. We're going to have Sakaki Michiaki removed from the board of directors.
取締役を罷免つまりそれが成立すれば代表でもなくなるということ
Exactly. You can't be the representative director of a stock company. It's president, if you're not even a director. I snap open my cell phone and type out a series of digits. It's the same number Yumiko called from a public telephone about a week ago, on the verge of giving up hope. The same call that nearly meant our defeat. But this time, it's a declaration of war. In response to Michiaki's surly greeting, I firmly and clearly announce myself. This is Kazumi Yuji. From the other end of the line, the man audibly catches his breath. All of a sudden, Michiaki shifts into an entirely different gear. There's obvious tension in his voice. I'm inside the prison you built. After considering this for the briefest of moments, Michiaki responds with a shout. Hey, Mochi! How's it going, buddy? Huh, you're good at guessing games. But then again, I suppose that one wasn't too much of a leap for you, was it? No worries, man, no worries, no worries. That's right. She's standing right next to me. If you want her back, come to Mihama Academy dorm at 10 tomorrow morning. We'll talk then. I don't see any reason I should answer that question. But in general, President Sakaki, I encourage you to tread carefully. I abruptly end the call, not bothering to answer Michiaki's question. Dude, I have been loving this so far. I'm not too far in, but holy shit. Chess Master Yuji here. Jesus Christ. Yumiko is still staring at me in slack-jawed astonishment. I turn to face her and deliver a reassuring little thump on the shoulder. There. We've got our actors and our stage. Now it's just a matter of waiting for the curtain to rise.
Oi! Kotaero! Oi! Oi!
Oh, dude, I've so far been loving this whole little segment here. We're literally gonna perform a fucking corporate coup against this asshole. And I've been working on it for a year! Holy shit! And we have the support of Ichigaya, too, because they don't like how he's meddled with their company as well. Oh, this is amazing. I love it. I love it a lot.
私だ。今から社へ向かうぞ。ああ、そうだ。ユミコの件で動きがあった。それと、市ヶ谷へ緊急連絡を回せ。すぐにだ。そうだ。ハルデラだ。あのスパイ女を陸将補経由で連れてこい。明日の総会、そこに絡んでくる可能性も出てきた。逃げられる前に急げ。わかったな。
After completing our thorough explanation for Yumiko, we begin a final review of our plans for tomorrow. Yumiko and I will handle the actual discussion with her father. Everyone else, focus on gathering information.
了解。
Sachi, I'd like you with us as a point of contact in case something we need to know about happens. Michiru, can you patrol the area starting early tomorrow morning and keep an eye out for any suspicious movements?
はい、わかりました。OK。
Alright. We'll gather in the lobby at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Same goes if there's any sign of movement before then. Let's finish the job, everyone. Dismissed. With that, everyone except Yumiko nods and gets to their feet. Since we've been preparing for this well in advance, there aren't any questions or objections now. All that's left is to assume our roles and see how it all plays out tomorrow.
あの
Yumiko calls out to stop us, and the others turn back to face her.
私急な話ですまだ理解できてない部分も多いけどみんなが今回のことで私のために動いてくれたってことはよく分かったわ本当にごめんなさい
Just as the words start to leave Yumiko's mouth, Amane raises a hand to interrupt.
そこは謝るんじゃないでしょ
Okay, I'm really glad I left Yumiko's route for last, because this is just... I like this. Everyone is involved in this one.
そんな答えじゃお兄ちゃんに怒られるのよさはい謝られるようなことはしていませんよ私たちはそうそう謝るぐらいなら後でお礼言ってもらった方がいいわよ
Yumiko looks at everyone's face in turn, her expression still shadowed with guilt.
まあまだお礼を言われるにも早いんだけどねひとまずこの一件が終わったらみんなでゆっくり話しましょうそうそうみんな榊さんと仲良くなる前に離れ離れになっちゃったからこれからね
And she has definitely, you know, she's cooled off now. She's cooled off and warmed up to people, especially with Yuji. She's not as super defensive as she was at the beginning with them, so they can actually truly be fucking friends. Without worry of box cutter coming out. Even after our classmates leave, a conflicted expression lingers on Yumiko's face. I can see a complex mixture of gratitude, guilt, and anxiety in her eyes. On the whole, it would be fair to say the girl's still somewhat unsettled at the moment. It's hard to blame her after how rapidly events have developed in the last few hours. But even so, tomorrow she's going to have to confront the thing that's been holding her back all this time. T-minus 9 hours. Yeah. Having trouble sleeping? I decided to have Yumiko sleep in my room for tonight. For security reasons, if nothing else. It's been a while since we turned off the lights and got in bed, but there's no hint of drowsiness in her voice. Her uneasy words echo inside the dark, quiet room. If I didn't, I never would have asked you that question in the first place. Yeah. Compared to risking everything on a thoughtless bet, running away and keeping our heads down would have been the clear choice. Much less risk involved. I hear clothes rustling softly on Yumiko's side of the bed. And we've been lying down with our backs turned to each other, but it sounds as though she's turned to face me. She pauses for a moment, then sighs softly. An entire year, Yumiko. They've been working on this for an entire year.
それに対して私は何一つとして役に立てていない。こうしてお膳立てしてもらっても未だに不安でいっぱいで逃げ出したくなってしまう。
Yumiko, don't you remember what I told you at the very beginning? I thought I was pretty clear about this when I coaxed you out of that airplane. Nobody needs your guilt or apologies. Try gratitude. All you have to think about right now is breaking away from your father and the Sakaki house. Once you get your freedom, show your appreciation to the people who helped you. That's all the repayment we need.
できるのかしら、私に。
Of course you will. You made your own decisions for the last year, Yumiko. You've grown. Have a little confidence in yourself.
そうよね。スオさんにも言われたしね。せめてちゃんと返せるように。
There you go. My words seem to have at least some effect, as Yumiko mumbles vaguely encouraging words to herself. There's another rustling sound from the other side of the bed. She seems to have turned away from me once more. It's not like I'm absolutely confident about our chances myself, but I'm sure as hell not qualified to be pompously preaching at Yumiko like this. I figured this was an H scene. They're sharing a bed. They're this close before something big happens. Yeah, I figured this was an H scene. The words I spoke just now were directed to myself as much as her. An attempt to persuade a coward to stand and fight for once in his life.
ユージ、お願いがあるの。
Before too long, Yumiko speaks to me again. Fun Grisaia facts with Mochi. Sure. Go ahead.
もう泣き言を言ったりはしない。みんなのためにも、ユージのためにも、自分のためにもあの人に立ち向かう。だから。
She hesitates for a moment, then continues slowly.
最後とは思いたくない。でも、もう明日しかないから。抱いてほしい。
Alright.
もう一度だけ確かめたいの。あなたが、ユージがかけがえのない大切な存在だって体で確かめたいのよ。
This time, I'm the one who flips over in bed. Yumiko's trembling slightly. Even from behind, it's obvious that she's forcing herself to be brave. First, I gently place a reassuring hand on her shoulder. Understood. Just promise me one more thing first.
何かしら。
Promise me you won't think of this as the last time. We're going to be together for the rest of our lives, alright? That's a promise. Don't ever let yourself think otherwise. Yumiko's back shivers again, just a little. She sniffles once before responding. I think I'll pretend not to notice the hint of suppressed tears in her voice.
ユージ、分かった。
This man essentially just proposed to her. He essentially fucking proposed to Yumiko. God damn. I can buy it. I can buy it. Letting the tension drain from her body, Yumiko yields herself to me.
抱いて、私を飲み込むくらいに。
Works for me. With a nod, I slip my arms around her. Alright, and then they boned. They had very, very passionate lovemaking. Even after we've thoroughly confirmed our mutual feelings, Yumiko and I continue talking for a long time. She seems less uncertain than before. Her voice has regained something of its usual calm.
あの人のことを考えていたわ。
Sakaki Michiaki? Yumiko nods slightly against her pillow.
私はあの人のことを恨んでいる。憎み続けている。だけど怖いぐらいにあの人のことを何も知らないのよ。
From what Yumiko says, the man known as Sakaki Michiaki doesn't enjoy discussing his past in any detail. Any reader of economic magazines or websites can find an outline of his impressive academic background and professional accomplishments. But there's virtually nothing to be found on the more personal aspects of his life. Even the sexual scandals Yumiko described have been largely scrubbed from the narrative. For so little to be known about such a public figure suggests a concentrated effort to scare off or manipulate the media. All I found is a loose sketch of this man's personality, repeated again and again. For the sake of expanding his corporate empire, Sakaki Michiaki will do absolutely anything. Wonder if something happened when he was younger. Human beings are shaped by their childhood experiences more than anything else. Even Yumiko doesn't know much about that part of her father's life, but there must have been something that made him into the ruthless obsessive he is today.
勇者を信じてる。でもあの人は今でもやっぱり怖い。
Yeah, that's trauma. That'll do it. Yumiko seems to shrink a little as she draws close to me.
大丈夫よね、勇者。
Of course. Rest assured. Embracing Yumiko with one arm, I run my hand through her hair, then stroke her cheek. In a few minutes after her trembling finally dies down, a peaceful drowsiness settles over us both.
来たかね。
ええ、もう来る気はありませんでしたが、緊急にとのことでしたので。
Come on, JV, just a little jabs. You just gotta give him these little jabs like this. I fucking love it. I love it.
風見雄二から連絡があった。
はい、その旨報告は受けております。
あの軍人上がり、生意気にも私を挑発してきた。由美子を返してほしければ、明日あの辺境の町へ来いとのことだ。
私どもの部下のやったこと、重ね重ねお詫びいたします。至急現地で。
そんな猿芝居はもういいんだよ、ハルデラさん。
私はこの一件に関与していないと何度も申し上げ、証拠も提出したはずですが。
あくまで白を切り通すか。まあいい。ひとまず明日が終わるまではおとなしくしてもらうぞ。
And you are who again, by the way? You can go fuck yourself, buddy.
おい、やれ。はい。
社長、どういうおつもりですか。これは私どもに対する不当な行為であり。
無論、あなたの上司の許可は得ている。表向きは泊まりがけのご招待だ。後で何を言おうが遠慮なくもみ消す。
Ooh, you're playing a real dangerous game, you son of a bitch. What do you think's gonna happen once we kick your puppet out of Ichigaya's head office? You're fucked.
あなた方が何を企んでいるのかは知らんが、こんなくだらない騒動で榊家の野望をついえさせるわけにはいかん。あの軍人上がりは即刻排除し、由美子は返してもらう。
何のことをおっしゃっているのか分かりかねます。
軍人はどこまでも任務に忠実だな。その心があなたの部下にもあればよかったのだが。何か連中と連絡を取るかもしれん。電波の届かない地下にでも閉じ込めておけ。はい。生きて帰れるだけマシだと思え。
You motherfucker.
あの人ならば間違いなく存在ごと消していただろうからな。
That man? What? What? That man? By the time the morning light against my eyelids wakes me, Yumiko has already gotten out of bed and dressed herself. Noticing me stir, she turns back to face the bed.
Yuji, ohayo.
She went back into the uniform. She did like the uniform. No, she liked that someone liked her in the uniform. Yuji. And again, something that took me over a fucking year to notice. Out of all the girls, she's the only one to wear a necktie and not the bow. She's the only one out of the girls that wears a full necktie and not a bow with the uniform. I don't know how I didn't notice that before. Her voice is clear and dignified. There's no hint of the weakness or fear from last night. It sounds as though she steeled herself for what's coming. Yeah, morning. I roll out of bed and quickly begin my own preparations. T-minus 1 hour. A little while later, everyone's gathered in the lobby just as we arranged yesterday evening. There's 1 hour before our appointment with Michiaki. Time we'll use to make a few final preparations.
そろそろ時間ね。マキナ、裏口はしっかり固めた？
サッチンと一緒に厳重に固めたのよさ。
もし侵入者があってもすぐに分かるようにはしてあります。
Well, this isn't going to be a siege battle, but it never hurts to cover all your bases. Stay on your toes. How's it going on your end, Sachi? Sachi responds without taking her eyes off the screen of her laptop.
大丈夫です。予定通り臨時株主総会は開催されるようです。
At a glance, there's nothing odd visible from the video feed of the conference room she's monitoring. Oh my god, they got fucking cam feed? Oh my... Please, I'm making a prediction right now. As they're talking here, as they're gonna be talking to fucking, Michiaki at 10, at some point, they're gonna bring up that video feed, and presumably also with an audio feed, and the vote will happen on to kick him out. To just remove him from power, so he'll just be there dumbstruck, it's like, yeah, you're not the president of your company anymore. You're no longer on the board of directors of your company anymore. You don't represent this school anymore. You are now trespassing. Get the fuck out. Don't remember seeing Grisaia on Saturday's schedule. Hey, Nick. Yeah, I had to cancel, yesterday. I canceled yesterday because I had a bad migraine and there's no way I could go through the end with it. So I left good old, that's why I left Saturday open for just kind of a just in case. Either I needed more time to finish this game or, well, something like that happens. But yeah, how you doing, Nick? Yeah, I love that the Yumiko tie. It's something you don't question, but it gives you a very early showing of her gender dysmorphia implanted in her body. Yeah, okay, yeah, I didn't even come to think of it, too. I didn't think of that part of it. Okay. Alright. Really good catch there, Mochi. Nice. Yeah, it does all tie back in. Okay. Heh. Tie. Okay. Now we just wait for the villain to make his entrance. Forming my right hand into a fist, I lightly smack it into my left palm. Jokes! Puns! Quips! And almost as if someone's taken their cue, the sound of running footsteps approaches from outside the dorm. Returned from her patrol, Michiru bursts into the lobby in a state of obvious consternation.
じゃあ行ってくるわ。
Yumiko, who had been sitting on the sofa in silence throughout our meeting, rises gallantly to her feet. As the others watch with concern in their eyes, she slowly opens the door and heads outside. I follow quietly in her wake. An extraordinary spectacle greets us. Specifically, it's an absolute swarm of jet black cars, reminiscent of that parent-teacher conference visit, on a far greater scale. I count more than 10 vehicles at a glance. Hard-faced men in black suits who could easily pass for gangsters form a solid row in front of their cars. The dorm's entirely surrounded. The unbroken ring of vehicles and men stretches around the building at a distance of maybe 10 meters. Clearly not interested in letting us get away this time. Probably only natural, given his long pursuit and the insult I delivered last night. But above all else, I think this display of force is a product of Sakaki Michiaki's sheer stubborn tenacity. The rear door of the car stopped directly in front of us swings open, and with extremely deliberate movements, a single man emerges. A slender, graying man dressed in a conservative charcoal suit. His glare is sharp as a knife and significantly less friendly. It's Yumiko's father, Sakaki Michiaki.
まさか予告通り、バカ正直にここにいるとはな。
Okay, we got 30-second ad breaks. So I'll just wait before going. Continuing on into it. Actually, I'm gonna... let's see. Can I check this quick just to see if they have a driver this time? So I'm most certainly going to be ordering lunch. It's actually one of the few days in a long while that I kind of have the house to myself right now. Nope, they don't have a driver. Okay. That sucks. Oh well. Is what it is. Fun facts with Mochi number... Steam exclusive CG. How is this a Steam exclusive one? This feels like it would fit right in with just the main game. Like, how would this not be in the main game? God damn. Of all the CGs to be a Steam exclusive, it's this one? Weird. The first words out of his mouth are a toneless expression of surprise. As he looks over his daughter, the corners of Michiaki's mouth jerk up slightly into something resembling a smirk. Definitely a grand question. My answer? That's so weird.
久しぶりだな。少し痩せたんじゃないのか？
ええ。突然襲われたり、海外に連れ去られそうになったり、必要に追われたりしたから、きっとそのせいだわ。はっ。
誰のためを思ってやったことなのか分かろうともせずに。まあいい。
Michiaki's scornful expression gives way with disconcerting smoothness to a gentle smile.
なあ、ユミコ。今ならばまだ許してやる。最後の慈悲だ。お前が私の元へ戻ってくれば、その男は許してやろうじゃないか。
This is gonna be such such a cathartic moment watching this man lose everything. I know it's coming. I want to see what happens once he realizes he has nothing.
泣いて許しを請え。お父さんごめんなさいと謝罪しろ。そうすれば全て丸く収まるんだ。さあ早く。
Fuck you, Dad. That's what she's just gonna say. Fuck you, Dad.
嘘よ。
父親を信じられないのか。
When have you done anything for her to trust you, buddy? When have you ever done anything to make her trust you? For real. No, everything you've done is a fucking lie.
父親だなんて。あなたを父と思ったことなんて、あの裏切られた日以来、一度だってなかったわよ。
That's it. Yumiko's voice quivers with rage. Her teeth grinding audibly, she squeezes spiteful words out of her throat and fires them at Michiaki like arrows.
今日、こうしてあなたの前に立ったのは、娘として戻るわけでも、泣いて許しを請うわけでもないわ。
おお、何のためだと言うんだ。
To watch a pathetic worm, you know, squirm. Because that's all you are, Michiaki. You're just a fucking little worm in the grand scheme of things. You're nothing. You're absolutely nothing. Oh, I want this man to get his just desserts right now. Oh, I'm actually, like, excited for this. A gust of wind blows across the yard, kicking up a swirling cloud of sand. For just a moment, it hides Michiaki from view. And when he appears again, Yumiko's tightly pursed lips open.
あなたと決別するためよ。
Michiaki doesn't even flinch, but Yumiko presses on regardless, her eyes slightly downcast, letting the anger she's kept inside flow freely out of her.
ずっと孤独だ。あなたから捨てられ、何もない時間を過ごし、一方的に呼び戻されて、裏切られて。私にとっては、家族なんて存在しないも同然だった。一方的に放り込まれたこの学園でも、私は囚人同然の生活を押し付けられた。誰とも話せず、何も考えられず。けど。
Yumiko turns back. Her gaze lingers on me and Sachi, then turns to the dorm where our other classmates are waiting. I've never seen such a peaceful smile on her face before.
ここには同じような傷を負った子たちがいたわ。すぐには無理だったけど、少しずつゆっくりと話していくことができた。そしてユージが来た。ユージもまたいろんなことを私に教えてくれた。私を人間にしてくれた。
With a flutter of her hair, she spins back to face Michiaki once more.
なのに、あなたはそれすらもまた奪おうとした。私には空想のものばかりを与え、心の通ったものは何一つとして与えようとも、持つことも許さなかった。でも、もう私は言いなりにはならない。自分の口で喋って、自分の手足で動いて、あなたの人形になんかなり下がらない。
Tell him, Yumiko!
あなたはたくさんのものを壊して、潰してきたわ。お母さんだって、裏切って、ボロボロにした。
Yumiko's eyes open wide in a furious glare. Her teeth snap together even more loudly than before.
あなたみたいな感情のない機械なんかに父親だなんて言われたくなんかないのよ。
生意気な口を叩くな。
A harsh bellow cuts through the air. For a moment, Yumiko flinches back.
お前のような子供に何がわかる。
Michiaki takes a firm step toward us. He speaks in a voice so low it seems to rise up from the ground underneath his leather shoes.
父から受け継いだ大頭皮を小娘のわがままで潰すわけにはいかんのだ。 ゴミのような周りの企業を掌握し、傀儡を増やし、いつかは国をも買う。それこそが父の夢であり、父と同じである私の夢だ。
Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't care how big you think East Beach Group can get. There's this. You really think you can take on the Irisu conglomerate? I'm sorry, they're kind of the biggest country on the planet. I mean, the biggest company on the planet. You're not going to even stack up to them. And they literally have Ichigai in their pocket. Quite literally. At this point. Sure, you put your puppet in charge of Ichigaya, but I'm sure one word from the Irisu conglomerate and he'll be gone. This man is a big fish in a small lake, trying to jump into the ocean. No, I'm sorry. You're nothing, Michiaki. You're nothing. Even with this company, you're nothing in the grand scheme of things.
父は私を人形にした。自らがその人形の中に入り、動き、大盗品を揺るぎなきものにした。私はそれを継ぎ、お前を新しい人形にして、器をさらに大きくするのだ。
The thing standing in front of Yumiko right now isn't a human being. It's the incarnation of an ambition handed down through the decades. A company in the shape of a man, trying to swallow her into itself.
その大いなる前提の前に、個々の意志などゴミに等しい。そんなものを大切だと説かれたところで、何の考えもない。
やっぱり人間じゃないわ、あなた。
また小娘の分際で人間がどうだのと語るのか。もうたくさんだ。
Wait, another?
お前の母親もきっとそんな甘いことばかり言っていたから勝手に潰れていったのだろう。
お母さんのことをそんな風に言わないで。元はといえばあなたが原因を作ったんじゃないの。
会社の発展のためにあの程度のことすら許容することもできなかった強量な女だ。私が責任を感じることなど何もないだろう。
そう、全部やはり嘘だったのね。私に言ってきた言葉も態度も何もかもが。
さあ、時間の無駄だ。実力行使に出てもいいが、荒っぽいことはしたくない。おとなしく車に乗るんだ。
As Michiaki extends his hand, Yumiko draws back a step in refusal. The next words out of her mouth are delivered in a voice as cold as ice. I like the little bit of characterization hidden in Michiaki's rant. My father made me into his puppet. I'll do the same for you. Gives you an idea. His upbringing might have been very... Probably, yeah. But now he's just, like, gaslit himself into accepting it. It's like, this is just how it is. It's how it must be done kind of thing. And oh my god, I hate it. I don't care. I'm sorry. He could have broken away from that at any point, but no. He decided to go fucking, you know, all in on it and do the same thing to his own daughter. You don't do that. You want to be better than your parents. That's what you want to try to do. Be better somehow. Especially if they're, you know, terrible. If they're fucking awful parents like that. You don't want your children to go through what you went through. Ugh. So I guess you could say Michiaki's kind of tragic in his own way, but he's too far gone now for any kind of forgiveness. Because he's doing this shit. He's intimidating a teenage girl, wants a teenage boy, you know, killed, essentially. Or even daring to make her realize she's her own person. You know, like the game said, he's not even a human at this point anymore. Yeah, he's way too far gone for any kind of forgiveness or redemption. And Christ, he almost had an actual son. I mean, he completely just ignored Yumiko's existence for how many years? Oh, God. Yeah, this... I hate this fucker.
あなたはもう終わりよ。
Oh.
なんだと。
わからないの。なぜユウシがあなたを今日ここに呼んだのか。なぜ今日でなくてはいけなかったのか。
Michiaki's eyebrows twitch ever so slightly. A moment later, with an expression caught halfway between an angry scowl and an amused smile, he answers.
今日。そうか。やはりお前たちがやったのか。
そうよ。東浜ホールディングスの臨時株主総会。社長の解任動議が今日可決されれば、あなたは社長の座を失う。私を傀儡にして達成するはずの野望も、ここで完全についえることになるわ。
Michiaki listens to his daughter's words expressionlessly. There's no anger, no surprise, no scorn or fear. His face is simply blank. And somehow, that indifference is more intimidating than any emotion could have been. Finally, a dry, rattling chuckle emerges from his throat.
何がおかしいの？
いいぞ、いいぞ、ユミコ。そうして社会のお勉強をするのか。これからの仕事に役立つな。いや、まさか自ら勉強してくれるとはな。
Oh my god, are you kidding me? Clapping his hands together with easy confidence, Michiaki responds as if genuinely pleased by the situation. There isn't the slightest hint of anxiety in his cold, amused eyes.
まだそんな強がりを言うつもりなの？現実を見てからそんなふざけたことを。
強がり？そういうのはきちんと情勢を確認してから言うんだな。
No! Yumiko turns around once more. Sachi is just lowering a cell phone from her ear, her face a ghastly shade of white.
あまねさんから今連絡が入りました。
Oh, it didn't happen? The normally unflappable girl's voice shakes with disbelief.
賛成の動議に誰も立ち上がらないそうです。そんな。
Come on!
嘘でしょ？賛成するって言ってたはずなのに。口裏を合わせたかのように静まり返っているのよさ。これってダメなんでしょ？解任に賛成させなきゃいけないんでしょ？今すぐ連絡とかできないの？あまね。ダメよ。私らが直接この人たちに言ったわけじゃないもの。すごく面倒なルートを通しての約束だから、話をするにしてもまたそのルートを通さないといけないわ。じゃあこのまま黙って見ていろって言うの？どうしようもないのよさ。そんな。
お前たちがあの市ヶ谷の女あたりと企んで反対派を動かしていたことぐらいは知っていたよ。まあ子供の革命ごっこがどこまで通じるのか興味半分で見ていたが、思った以上に勉強していたようで驚いたよ。
No, he can't. We can't fucking win.
構成してきちんとした学校を出れば使ってやらんこともないぞ。
As Yumiko bites down on her lip in frustration, Michiaki takes another step forward, his stride even larger and bolder than before.
さあ、今度こそ本当に終わりだ。私の人形になる覚悟を決めろ、ユミコ。
いや。
覚悟を決めるのなら、そうだな。そこにいる軍人上がりのガキも性欲処理用として飼うのを許してやらんでもないぞ。
Excuse me?
まあ、その代わりに人間としての尊厳は極限までそぎ落とすがな。
そんなの許せるわけが。
Yumiko's still mounting her best attempt at resistance, but the momentum has shifted entirely in favor of her father. His face placid and composed, Michiaki takes another step forward. And this time, his cruel eyes flick over in my direction.
おい、軍人上がり。そこに突っ立ってないで、お前も何か言ったらどうなんだ。
His tone of voice is light, teasing.
女にばかり前に立たせて喋らせるとは、情けないにも程があるだろう。
Motherfucker can't win! In strong contrast to her father's composure, Yumiko's voice twists with sorrow and fear. Without particularly reacting to either of them, I cock my head to the side and furrow my brow. That's funny. Do I hear a phone? Oh, please. Did he have a fucking backup plan in case this didn't work? Michiaki grimaces sourly in evident disappointment.
なんだと？別に構わん。出るがいい。どうせすぐに電話など取り上げ。
Wrong. Does sound like a phone's ringing, but it's not mine. Somebody else must be getting a call.
何を一体言っているんだ？
The man clearly seems to think this is somewhat less than important right now. For the first time, I meet his gaze with a powerful glare of my own. You still don't understand? It's your phone. With a very important call.
私のだと？
Dubiously, Michiaki reaches up for the pocket of his suit. The instant his hand touches the softly buzzing cell phone, his bemused expression changes to one of pure surprise.
なぜ貴様に分かった？
Not important. You should probably answer right away. Take a look at who's calling.
なんだと？こんな時にどこの誰が？
Muttering complaints to himself, Michiaki glances down at the screen. His face stiffens instantly.
村松、国土交通大臣からだと？
He hurriedly presses the answer button, his attention now focused solely on the phone. The rest of us no longer seem to even register.
もしもし、村松大臣ですか？榊です。榊でございます。やっと出てくれましたか、榊さん。あ、申し訳ございません。ちょうど今お話ししておりました総会の最中でして。その総会のことで連絡があってね。手短に言うよ。はあ。事情が変わってね。君を支援することはできなくなった。すまないが、潔く社長。まあ、心配しなくとも相応の名誉職ぐらいは用意しておくから、それで納得するんだな。
Fuck yeah, let's go!
そんな、どういうことですか、大臣。あんたも面倒な部分に触れたもんだ。同情するよ。大臣、待ってください。どういうことですか、大臣。
So I remember correctly, the Minister of Infrastructure had like 30% voting power?
浜根さん。はい。解任賛成が。はい、わかりました。伝えます。
And if I remember correctly, 30% was the most one group had. So they had the most influence just on their own, while everyone else had about 10% or lower. So if that majority happens, if that small majority, I guess you could say.
Reinforcements approaching. Reinforcements approaching.
Hey Yusuke, how's it going? Welcome on in. Yeah, let me give you that shout out. You rated in. Let's see. Boom! In Memory of Heroes. I had a feeling. How'd that go? How you doing, buddy? It's going good? Good, good. Yeah, how'd Memory of Heroes go? Alright, so if the 30% finally decides to announce they're going against him, that might inspire the others to, you know, actually stand up and also, for sure, you know, say, yeah, no, we want him out too. Again, that magic number they need is 51. You need 51% to have majority voting power in a company. Oh, this is beautiful. This is fucking beautiful. Technically not Memory of Heroes. It's more like I was watching... Okay.
風見さん、今、天音さんから連絡があって、社長の解任動議が可決されたと。
Biggest fish in the room stands up. The others are gonna follow.
様子見だった企業も次々と解任賛成に回り、最終的に8割の票を集めたそうです。
Boom! Your ass is grass, motherfucker. Drive was awesome though? Okay, good. I nod casually to acknowledge Sachi's report. Thought as much. Just how JB told me it would play out. Entirely on the other end of the emotional spectrum, Sakaki Michiaki stands before me in stunned, furious disbelief. It's hard to believe he's the same man who was so full of confidence before the phone rang. Squeezing his cell phone with a quivering hand, he glares at me with an expression full of undisguised wrath.
お前ら、なぜだ？どうして、そんな。
I see your chat. No, I just missed it. Michiaki watching his entire life's work crumble before his eyes because Secret Agent 007 was horny for his daughter. Nice. Finally saw Type Trideron. Okay, you're pretty deep into the season then. He's got his final form. Cool. Reminds me of Yumiko's reaction when I brought her here yesterday. The man simply can't process the situation he's found himself in. I'll explain. Stepping out protectively in front of Yumiko, I approach her trembling father. It's just as you said. No matter how much a group of children struggle, it's fundamentally ridiculous to imagine they could stage a large-scale corporate conflict. Convincing the opposition to move would have been nearly impossible unless people holding genuine power were leading the charge. However, there was one lever which could undoubtedly move even those deeply cautious men. An organization possessing tremendous influence, and the largest stockholder in the East Beach Group. After you dinner now, I'll back. Alright, Yusuke, you enjoy dinner, buddy. Once JB obtained a route to them through a certain connection of hers, our victory was all but assured. They were the focus of our attention from the very start. But, as I'm sure you know, it never hurts to be doubly cautious in this sort of thing. That's why we attacked the problem from so many angles over the last year. After all, we were up against Sakaki Michiaki. If we spent all our time messing with the Ministry of Infrastructure, I expected you'd catch on and devise a counter-strategy. JB's connection had overwhelming influence over the Ministry, but Michiaki still might have managed to turn the tables on us if our movements were exposed in the early stages. We needed to set the wheels in motion without tipping him off to our real plans until the very last moment. That was the primary objective of all our other movements. Therefore, we started building ourselves a pseudo-majority, knowing full well it would fall apart in the end. We let you see a bunch of children sniffling around. Gave you a nice, easy target to undermine.
反対派と妙な動きをしていたのはフェイクだったということか。
Exactly.
そんな。
Michiaki's cell phone clatters to the ground. His head slumps over sagging shoulders. The arrogance from a few minutes ago has vanished without the slightest trace. Oh my god. Just... yes. Yes. Fucking yes! I love this now! Let's go! Tear the man down!
終わりか。こんなにあっけなく。しかもこんなガキどもに。人生を賭して、すべてを捨てて。それが。
Oh my god, shut the fuck up, Michiaki. Muttering reproachful words to no one in particular, he drags himself back to his car and climbs slowly inside. The black-suited men surrounding the area, perhaps sensing their employer's defeat, hurriedly begin to withdraw. With the roar of a dozen engines, clouds of dust from many tires fill the air, as if to mark the conclusion of our battle.
Yuji!
I want to see you cry! Weep! Weep! Amane bursts out of the dorm moments later. Makina and Michiru follow in her wake, their faces overflowing with joy.
サッチンから聞いたぞ。お兄ちゃんは全部わかってたんだってな。
Yeah. Sorry for startling you.
もうびっくりしたわよ。最初からそういう仕込みだったなら言っておいてくれればよかったのに。
No, he needs you guys not to know, just so your reactions would sell it. Because if you knew beforehand, you wouldn't be able to give off that much of a convincing, just reaction to loss. Like the way, just the way Sachi went completely white, apparently, after hearing the news. You needed that realism for her to really, really set it. Yuji just starts talking to him like the yelling dude from Full Metal Jacket. Oh my god. I once tried to quote some of the shit he said on stream, but looking at it, it's like, yeah, I can't safely say any of this shit on stream. Not at all. That's from a different time. So, yeah, no, I ain't risking saying any of that shit.
はい、私も連絡を受けた時は寿命が縮む思いでした。あんたが言うぐらいだから相当なもんよね、サッチ。
ともかくこれで晴れて榊さんは自由の身なのよね、ユージ。
Good idea. Half of it is questionable. Yeah, I was looking at it, it's like, okay, yeah, no, definitely can't say that. Definitely can't say that. Or that. Yeah, no, I'm just not going to say any of it. No. It's from a different time. That kind of dialogue will never fly now because, well, for obvious reasons. Very obvious reasons. Yeah. Sorry about the drama, Yumi. Just like others, Yumiko's face is filled with relief at our come-from-behind victory. Or so I'd imagined. But when I turn around, I find something else entirely. Yumiko? Yumiko's turned her head in a different direction from the rest of us. No less still and quiet than before, she's gazing far off into the distance. Sometimes I have to remind myself, we're not in the Xbox Live era. Oh my god. Man, those, oh my god, those lobbies got so toxic and so bad back then. I was in the middle of that. That was high school for me. Holy shit. I was at the fucking start of that. I was in there listening to all that shit. Oh my god. Whew. Just, oh my god. You cannot even I mean, people have recorded the shit that people say in those lobbies. So, I mean, if anyone ever wants to get an idea of what they were like back then, yeah. Yeah. The most tame I could say out of all of that was just everyone seemed to have relations with your mother. Every single chat, anyone you went into, someone would always say they had sex with your mom all the time. All the time. I don't know why they thought that was like the biggest gotcha. Granted, a lot of them back then were literally all just a bunch of hormonal teenagers or preteens trying to sound cool. No, they didn't sound cool. We're just fucking awful. That's all that we all were back then. We're just really fucking awful. Think you guys can head back inside before us? I turn to our friends, who nod quickly and return to the dorm. After watching them all enter the building, I fix my eyes on Yumiko once more. Her face is fixed in the direction that group of cars disappeared. The eyes of Sakaki Michiaki's only daughter are quietly gazing after the man who stayed her bitter enemy until the very end. Yumiko. I call out her name once more, but Yumiko doesn't move, and her expression doesn't change. She's not crying. It doesn't look like she's grieving. Her face is simply lonely. The clouds of dust that have been dancing through the air eventually fade away as the wind carries them out to sea. The familiar campus has returned to a familiar state. And still, Yumiko stands rooted to the spot. As I watch her from behind, I hear the cry of a kite overhead like a shrill note on a flute. The small black bird of prey glides serenely past us, making its way to the ocean, just like one I saw on the rooftop of this dorm once. It's a painfully normal summer scene, almost as if someone's trying to remind us how small our struggles are, how insignificant our hatreds. I'm just gonna at the very least save. There. It was so blue. The blue bird. No matter how much power you hold, no matter how wise and widely respected you may be, there's one force you're completely powerless to resist. No one in the world's capable of stopping the flow of time. True, spend enough money and you can usually prolong your life a little, but that's hardly the same as stopping or reversing the relentless march of the years. I'm glad that it shows this, that Yumiko isn't, yeah, we beat that soulless jackass, let's go boys, because first off, she's not like that. Second, no matter how much hatred and vile she feels toward him, he's still her yeah. She's still gonna have a little bit of a, she's still gonna have some kind of feeling for him. He's technically the only family she has. And now she's lost that. Yeah. Very, definitely a very realistic, reaction. Back in the old days, there were rulers who thought systems of hereditary inheritance could grant them dominion over time. But open any history book, and you'll find plenty of proof that that was just another way of struggling in vain against the inevitable. Strict codes of law, beautiful writings, wise teachings. All these, too, eventually fade away. Still, there are always people who struggle against that oppressive rule, studying the failures of those who went before and seeking immortality through lines or deeds. And there are those who live ephemerally in the moment, ignoring the current of time entirely. Perhaps that's a valid means of escape in its own right. But no matter what approach we take, we're all fighting a losing battle. Some few among us most determined and brilliant may manage to build a milestone, but compared to the vast and unending road itself, such monuments aren't particularly significant. Time's an absolute tyrant. Everyone's powerless to resist its might. However, if you look at the matter from another angle, time's also our supreme problem solver, the ultimate healer of its wounds. What did Yuji just say? How do I look at the history again? Hold on. Is it tab? Tab. What line you looking at, buddy? Oh my god, dude. You're being very sus now, man. Given enough time, a Gordian knot too tangled for human hands to undo will naturally slip apart and return to its original form. Or just pull an Alexander the Great and cut it. Yeah, fuck yeah. That was literally his solution. Oh, the Gordian knot. A knot that's too tangled for anyone to actually untie properly? I have a sword. Just cut the fucking thing. Through the passing of years, a hardened clump of stone that wouldn't dissolve under water or melt in fire will disintegrate all on its own. Time doesn't rule through fear alone. Like all that's truly absolute, it exerts its power indifferently over good and bad alike. Running my usual morning course, I breathe in and out at my usual steady rhythm. There's no hesitation in my movements. I could run this route in my sleep by now. I'm not bothering to measure or anything, but my heartbeat and calorie burn are probably exactly the same as they were yesterday. From a long-term perspective, it'll probably only add a few years before my current peak physical condition gives way to a slow, gradual curve of decline. But looking back over the last few years, my specs have stayed exponentially consistent, or exceptionally consistent, not exponentially, exceptionally consistent. I've never been negligent in keeping myself ready for emergencies of any kind. The master really beat that lesson into me, I guess. Running comes so naturally to me now that it's very easy to detach my mind from the movements of my body. I often find myself thinking over all sorts of things. My master was a great believer in staying on your toes, preparing for the extraordinary in the most ordinary of times. Always think ahead, always stay prepared, always follow your routine. In the course of my monotonous daily training, there were times when everything seemed so calm that I couldn't help doubting the importance of it all. but I've been plunged abruptly into crisis often to recognize the peace-addled complacency for what it is. Even just over the last year, this sort of readiness proved immeasurably important. Still, I'd really like things to stay relatively peaceful for a while. Trying to drive a subtle shadow of unease from my mind, I focus on carrying out my comfortingly familiar peacetime training. The late summer sun creeps into the sky, gradually warming the earth below. It's been 2 months since we returned to this place, and in reality, nothing too dramatic has happened in that time. Even compared to the peaceful time I spent here before, nothing's really... well, no. I suppose there have been a few minor changes to the previous routine. I'm back. For one thing, I've started consistently saying this phrase immediately after returning to the dorm. There were occasions when I said those words before, but it was a pretty uncommon event, reserved for when somebody happened to be in the lobby when I opened the door. I almost choked on my food. Oh, damn. I hope you're okay. Slow down a bit. Choo. But for a good reason. Oh lord, what's the good reason? What's a good reason for choking on your food, bro? I can never think of a good reason for choking on food.
おかえりなさい、ユージ。
Buffa's Did they actually give him a final form, or was it just the Jamashin form again? Or did they actually fucking bust out Buffa Mao? In the last fucking episode. They fucking bust out his final form. Oh, in a movie? Good enough, I guess. Whatever. Everyone's getting Buffa Mao. They can be happy now. Whatever. I mean, a lot of people assumed they'd give him his final form in like a V cinema or something at this rate, because it was just... It isn't Buffa Mao? Oh my god. Okay. He got a final form, finally. He's getting a final form that isn't just Jamashin. Granted, I do like Jamashin in general. I mean, it's a form where if I'm fighting a common rider, I'm just gonna win. They're doing nothing. How broken is that, guys, by the way? I have a power-up that just, if I'm fighting a common rider, any of their attacks are useless against me, and I get a massive power boost. I literally fight any common rider, and I have a win button. Their attacks are meaningless. Mine do more damage. They literally cannot touch me. Like, it is so fucking broken. Like, that was like about like maybe a little over mid-season he got that shit. And they had to invent some reason for him not to use it ever again. Which is a bunch of bullshit, by the way. Why would you never not use it? I mean, it did nothing against the random monsters. He was still just normal, had a normal power-up for them. But against riders, he was literally invincible. Literally. Even just as kind of a joke with one of the characters working with him. He shot him with his gun and it did nothing. It's like, it doesn't even hurt you, see? It does nothing. Now he looks like silver. Oh my god. Well, I'll look it all up later. But now I've got a reason to announce my return every single time. Namely, there's always a certain someone here to say those words to. Sorry about slipping out. I was a little worried you might not be getting enough sleep, waking up at the same hour as me.
あなたと一緒に寝起きしているんだから、そうでもないわよ。はい、タオル。
Thanks. Taking the towel from Yumiko, I roughly scrub the sweat off my face. Whew. And when I look up again... An attractive young woman standing very close to me with a distinctly wistful expression on her face. Slightly exasperated, I heave a quiet sigh. Look, Yumiko, I think we've been over this before.
いや、わかってるから。
Waving her hands in the air, she interrupts my earnest warning in a flustered tone of voice.
ここは公共の場。だからそういうのは部屋に戻ってからにしないか。そうよ。ね。
That's right. Glad to see you got the message after all.
だから、軽く抱きしめるだけで、今は我慢するから。
Look, woman. Is this seriously the same person who used to swing a box cutter at me every time we met? Turning her blushing face slightly away, she flutters brief glances in my direction. Don't think I'll say this to the girl herself, but it's not far from the sorta come hither look you'd get from pros in a red light district. I mean, yes, I do understand this is the product of sincere affection, but seriously. When the girl's this blatant about it, it's hard not to get suspicious. Something Machina told me once comes to mind. To wit, women of the Kudere tribe are a pain in the ass. They're not used to showing affection, so once they do go sweet, they'll give everyone in a 3-mile radius cavities. Oh my god. That said, giving her the cold shoulder would just be making more trouble for myself in the long run. Just yesterday, I tried brushing off Yumiko's excessive demands for public displays of affection. She retaliated with hours of sulky, reproachful glaring. Oh my god. Still falls well into the cute category, but the effort involved in smoothing her feathers after the fact only amplifies the pain in the ass factor. Also, Bunny's gotten a little further into common route. She hasn't made any choices yet, but she's gotten past usually taking Amani to the nurses off a twisted ankle. She's saying, man, when does the common route end so I can make choices? And I'm just sitting there with an evil smirk knowing she'll miss common route so much when it ends. Common route is so long. Just so long. Like, oh my god, but I still like it. I like Common Route. I like Common Route at Grisaia. It's just full of, you know, slice of life random things. Like, literally everything just kind of happens to happen. Before things get, you know, super serious. So I do miss Common Route. I like it for that. It's literally... Common Route is literally a slice of life anime. And I appreciate the fuck out of it for that. It really does lull you into that sense of, you know, into a false sense of security. It's like, okay, this is what the whole game's gonna be like, and then they hit you with the routes that have the actual heavy shit. And so, I decided to give in to her demands like the hopeless sap I am. Fine. Here we go. Pulling Yumiko over to me, I embrace her lightly at arm's length. I did wipe myself down a little with the towel, but I'm still just back from exercising. Can't exactly go for the bear hug. Exactly, it might be a bit long, but I love it because it gives you a lot of chances to connect more with these characters. When you finally see their struggles, it hurts even more because you spend so... Yeah! I mean, 3 of the routes made me cry, so far. And as if to say, the hell with your thoughtfulness, the woman dives forward and nuzzles her pretty face against my chest. Already in heat first thing in the damn morning. I think you're aware, but I kinda stink right now. Don't cling to me like that.
いいの。いいな、ユージの匂い。男って感じがすごくする。
Can't believe I have to say this. Yumiko, stop sniffing him! Yuji's bad enough for sniffing people. Your past self could see you now, she'd probably break down in tears.
そうかしら。むしろ昔の私は幸せすぎて泣くんじゃないかしら。動いちゃダメ。じっとしてて。
Honestly. Hey, Yumiko.
なに
Charming as it is to watch you get drunk off my body, I think it's time for you to back off now.
何よ。もうちょっと堪能させなさいよ。いつ触っても飽きないな。この熱い胸。
Fuck.
これが毎日私を押しつぶして。
Well, I don't personally mind if you want to continue grunting in satisfaction while fondling my pecs, but I'd recommend taking a look behind you first.
いいな、ユージ。
Even better, coming from the girl who was running herself on our bed, sniffing our shirt. I'm sorry, Amane, you cannot judge. You've done the same fucking thing.
いやー、人間長く生きてみるものね。こんな光景を毎日見ることになるなんて少しも想像できなかったわよ。人間の無限の可能性を感じるのはみちる様だけではなかったのですね。この小峰幸、毎日が発見の連続です。
Machina trots energetically up to Yumiko, currently frozen solid. The intensity of her grin is genuinely unpleasant.
お兄ちゃんの裸を思い出して燃え上がっちゃったんだよな。でも朝からこういうことしてると夜の生活バレバレだからやめとけな。
Thumping Yumiko's shoulders in a companionable way, she barrages her with merciless words. Thank you, Nick. The young woman in question, her hand still frozen pitifully in the air where my chest had been, looks around the lobby like a high school drama student doing their best imitation of a robot.
ああ、朝から脂っこいの見ちゃったせいで胸焼けしたわ。戻ろう戻ろう。
Damn, I should have had monkey.
そうですね。榊さん、どうもごちそうさまでした。ユミコ、最低限の人間の尊厳は保つようにしなさいよね。
One by one, the others give the statue stiff Yumiko a friendly slap on the a friendly slap on the shoulders, then saunter off mocking her. There's some real affection under those wry smiles, but also undeniably a good deal of exasperation mixed in as well. Hey, Yumiko, you alright? I'm gonna take that as a no. Yumiko, stunned speechless, lets out an anguished grunting moan of the sort I'd usually expect from Michiru. I've actually had more than a few incidents like this over the last 2 months, but today was exceptionally bad. Well, I tried to warn her. Maybe that'll be a bit of a lesson to the girl. Can only pray she'll finally cut down on the public dere somewhat. Earth to Yumiko? I'm going back to the room now, alright? Shaking my head with a smile, I head back to my room. By manipulating the Minister of Land, Transport, and Infrastructure, we succeeded in removing Sakaki Michiaki from his role at the top of the East Beach Group, putting an end to his pursuit of Yumiko. The director we successfully raised up as an opposing power, essentially a puppet of the government, has already discontinued Michiaki's aggressive strategy of expansion in favor of a much more subtle and low-risk style of management. The East Beach Group has shed its image as the Sakaki family's personal empire. With surprising speed, it's being reformed into a very different kind of enterprise. Someday, people probably won't even remember that they were once mocked as bandits. As for Mihama Academy, it's going to be closing its doors. There were potential PR issues because of its connection to Michiaki's struggle with his daughter. And on a purely practical level, the new management took issue with the lavish, inefficient spending that defined Mihama's administration. They did explore restoring it as a more conventional school, but given the location and circumstances, it was estimated that attracting a sufficiently large student body would prove difficult. In the end, the project was simply abandoned. Then again, from beginning to end, this school never had more than 6 students. Putting aside the facilities and funding, once that framework changed, Mihama would still have stopped being what it was. In exchange for the academy's closure, the dormitory was allowed to remain open in a different form. Without a school attached, it became a simple apartment building. They entrusted the management to the former students for the time being, enabling us to continue our lives virtually the same as before. Everyone's using this place as a launch pad for the next stage of their lives. Amane will apparently be leaving to help out her family's traditional restaurant, with Makina once their preparations are in order. Sachi and Michiru are going to be transferring together to a boarding school the principal recommended. However, even if we all end up leaving this place behind, we've made plans to periodically meet up again. The 6 of us may have been born in different places, but in a way, we all feel as if we grew up here. Although we've regained our familiar daily life, little by little, things are starting to change. And Yumiko's certainly no exception. After dramatically transforming her world, she's trying to adapt herself to a whole new routine. Thanks for helping with breakfast.
はい、どうぞ。
Eating my meals around this table with Yumiko already feels completely natural. Today, we've got grilled salmon and boiled greens and soy sauce that I made, and soup and rice courtesy of Yumiko. Yeah, looks like you got in the hang of miso soup now.
本当？
Why would I lie now? It really is good.
よかった。嬉しい。
Her eyes full of relief, Yumiko favors me with a sincere smile. Since we started living together in my room, the girls gradually eased her way into cooking. At first, she was burning pans more often than cooking food, but under the strict tutelage of Madame Suo Mane, she's finally learned how to make miso and other simple soups. You're learning boiled food next, right? Amane was pretty enthusiastic. Sounds like she enjoys teaching you.
あまねの指導ってちょっと怖いのよね。何か体があるような気がしてならないの。
Well, the two of them have finally gotten friendly enough to use each other's first names, so I guess that lingering tinge of jealousy isn't anything to be worried about. Amane is just playing around, probably just playing around for the most part, but since I'm clearly part of the issue, I can't exactly stick my head in either way. Seeking a change of subject, I reach out for my rice bowl. Looks like you got the rice just right, too. When I look across the table again to praise Yumiko, I find her chopsticks paused hesitantly in midair. What's wrong? You're not eating. I call out to her again. She starts a little, then smiles.
ちょっとね。
Morning light flows in softly through the window. The faint touch of sun on her skin makes Yumiko's smile seem almost eerily gentle.
なんだか今でも信じられない。こうしてみんなと楽しく生活してユージとも一緒に暮らせるなんて昔だったら絶対にありえなかった。
Before, Yumiko was always alone. The girl absolutely didn't choose that solitude. She always longed to have someone at her side. And many times, she tried to convince herself there would be. Those hopes were betrayed again and again. Yumiko plunged into despair, gave up on connecting with others, and hid herself from the world. But after she came to this dorm, her walls slowly began to crumble.
小さい頃あんなに人が怖くてもう関わることなんてやめようって思ってたのに。
Yumiko warmed up to our classmates. She fell in love with me, and her solitude finally came to an end. Considering the way she used to be, it's not surprising she'd find all this a little hard to believe.
ありがとう、ユージ。
Yeah. I'm happy for you, Yumiko. That smile's coming from the heart. Yumiko looks genuinely content, like someone who's gotten everything they ever wanted. But when the girl talks about how happy she is, sometimes I see a very slight shadow fall across her face. And although it's just speculation on my part, I think I know why. Through our trap, Sakaki Michiaki lost everything he had built in a single day. Tripped up by the willful daughter he wanted to manipulate like a puppet, the man vanished in defeat. The supremely arrogant emperor who stepped out of the car that day left a crushed and broken man. Those deeply contrasting images are still crystal clear in my memory. And for Yumiko, his daughter, that moment must have left a far stronger impression. There wasn't just hatred in her eyes as she quietly watched her father disappear. I'm sure many complex emotions were running through her mind. Following that incident, Sakaki Michiaki essentially abandoned both his personal and professional life. The mass media he'd previously muzzled through force briefly latched on to the dramatic, overthrown tyrant storyline, but in time, their interest died out. By now, the man's already becoming part of the past. Michiaki's still got a nearly 10% stake in the group, although with a new honorary position, so he shouldn't exactly be starving. Still, he's been lying low to the point that it's almost unsettling. Sometimes I can't help wondering if he's lurking in the shadows somewhere, steadily plotting revenge and working toward a comeback. But that hypothesis doesn't really stand up to scrutiny. I couldn't see any hint of spirit in the hollowed-out shell of a man who climbed back into his car that day. And judging from the way he watched him go, Yumiko probably sensed something similar. Her father had been the focus of all of her hatred for years. He was the ruthless creature who chained her down. Sorry. But underneath his armor, he was just one incredibly frail human being, every bit as weak as Yumiko herself once was. Thank you. Watching her father stripped naked and chased from his place in the world, the girl no doubt felt a painful twinge of recognition and empathy. To survive, to carve out her own place in the world, there was no choice but to overthrow him. But that doesn't mean it left an entirely pleasant taste in her mouth. Yumiko? Again, there's that slight hint of listlessness in her expression. Even when Yumiko's acting cheerful, I can't help picking out these slight signs of fraying at the seams. You keep stopping your chopsticks.
大丈夫。なんでもないわ。
I've been refraining from asking Yumiko about this. She obviously hasn't even begun to sort out her own feelings yet. It'd just be cruel to make her dwell on it even further. Alright, I know what you're thinking about.
Huh? 何?
Moving smoothly around the table, I push her down to the floor. Oh my god, dude. We got interrupted halfway through, didn't we? Maybe you wanted something like this?
そんな。そうでもあるけど。
So I cover it up with a white lie. And Yumiko, for her part, accepts that lie.
ダメよ。急にそんな。まだこんなに明るいのに。
Her words are hesitant, but her fingers twine through mine. As if to request the next step, her entire palm squirms coquettishly in my grasp, okay. Your hands seem to have a different opinion. I'm not sure who to believe.
もう意地悪言わないで。
Seems she wasn't really rejecting me. I leaned down and pressed my lips against hers. Pretending not to notice the wounds on each other's backs, we run our hands across the undamaged surface alone, seeking comfort. I know we'll have to treat those wounds eventually. But right now, we need time. We need this. Yumiko hasn't had real peace for practically her entire life. At the very least, I want to give her a chance to think. Suddenly, shrill electronic music fills the air. We stop and smile wryly at each other.
ごめんね。ちょっと待って。
With one more brief peck on my lips, Yumiko pulls herself out from under me. She flips open her bleeding cell phone and glances at the screen.
弁護士さんだわ。
After letting me know that, she picks herself up off the floor and presses the answer button.
はい、もしもし。はい、先日はありがとうございました。
Yumiko recently hired a lawyer to sort through the legal issues involved with our situation. He's also helping make arrangements for managing the Sakaki family's property now that Michiaki's all but fallen off the face of the earth. The family affairs are understandably chaotic at the moment, so it's a lot for Yumiko to handle on her own. Still, she's been diligently negotiating, selling off what needs to be sold, and trying to keep things from falling apart. I assume this phone call is another update on their progress. But the peaceful conversation I was expecting changes dramatically with a small cry of surprise from Yumiko. It's not just the tone of her voice. The calm look on her face gives way to a grim and severe expression. More than a little concerned, I pick myself up off the ground and watch.
はい、ええ、わかりました。では明日いらした時に詳しく。
Something happen?
はい。
After hanging up the phone, Yumiko gazes down at the screen in disbelief, not speaking a word. Did something happen? This time I find myself unable to bite my tongue. Yumiko, her face still blank with shock, finally turns to face me.
あの人が。
That man. There's nothing in the phrase to suggest Yumiko's talking about a relative, but there's only one person she refers to that way.
あの人が私に全て譲渡したそうよ。
Everything? Confusion in her eyes, Yumiko nods shortly.
あの人の持っていた全ての株式を私に譲渡したって。
He's given up. He's completely given up. He gave her he's done. That's it. No more. He's out of her life completely now. Sakaki Michiyaki did? Yumiko doesn't respond. She just gazes intently down at her phone, complex emotions flitting across her face, almost as if the man in question was standing in front of her. It's the same expression that was on her face 2 months ago as she watched her father disappear. An expression of loneliness, anger, and profound sorrow. Oh my god, time jump. 3 years later. I'm actually going to be right back. I gotta, use the washroom and do something real quick. So, BRB. And I am back. Also, hey, Technity, awful timing. Just purely awful timing. How you doing? The muted murmur of a television echoes through the spacious room. There's no other sound to be heard. Recovering from my sickness, but mostly good. Okay, that's good. Glad you're recovering. Half submerged in a plush sofa, I abruptly opened my eyes at the sound of a voice on the television. It's a very familiar voice. One I've been hearing on a daily basis for a long time now. Must have nodded off halfway through. I moved my eyes back to the enormous LCD screen mounted on the wall. Yumiko, wearing a tailored professional suit and a resolute expression, listens carefully to her interviewer's question and offers a precise response. That was a pretty nostalgic dream just now. Maybe it's because I spoke with Amane on the phone the other day, but I dreamed of our time at Mihama Academy. I find my mind running back over the events that turned Yumiko into the public figure she is today. When Sakaki Michiaki transferred all of his stock in the East Beach Group to her, Yumiko thought long and hard about what to do with it all. She even considered selling the entire stake and donating the proceeds to charity. It was, in some sense, tainted money. And more importantly, slightly less than 10% of that company still amounted to an astronomical sum of money. Yumiko wanted to live a peaceful life on her own terms, and she knew that kind of money would change everything. But after much agonizing, she ultimately decided to accept it. And then, while using her newfound wealth to attend a top-flight university, she started up her own company, one that's proven wildly successful. Right now, it's becoming increasingly frequent for her to appear in the media as an exemplary young entrepreneur. As to why Yumiko voluntarily entered the same corporate world that tied her down for so long, I've never asked her point blank. But I do have the feeling it's got something to do with the open wound she's been ignoring for the last 3 years. Probably the same reason she didn't sell off this house. Despite all the bad memories it must hold for her, we're living here together now. I guess there comes a point when avoidance doesn't make your scars ache any less. How's the game going? Pretty good. We're actually just about to finish her up. The route's almost done, and then that'll be literally the game. How are you doing? I'm doing pretty good. I'm doing much better than yesterday, where I had a migraine and had to cancel stream. My other cell phone begins to ring for the first time in 3 years. After carefully confirming the name on the caller ID screen, I hit the answer button. Hey, been a while. There's a moment of silence, but in that time, many unspoken words passed between us. Although I was officially reprimanded after the incident 3 years ago, a certain influential force in Ichigaya's upper echelon shielded me from more serious charges and arranged for my reinstatement on the reserve. That said, I was no longer interested in returning to my previous workplace, as supporting Yumiko had become my first and foremost priority. I took my chance to formally resign. Naturally, this led to an estrangement from JB. There was one and only one thing I'd asked of her at the end. It was a better job suited to a detective agency than a professional of her caliber, but I asked anyway, fully aware of my selfishness. JB accepted that strange request without particular comment. I didn't ask why, but it felt as though she wanted to tie up that same loose end herself. Where is Michiaki? Is that what he wanted her to try and do?
3年前に頼まれてた最後のお願いについて分かったことがあるわ。
I already knew the reason she was making this phone call. It has to mean she's found some sort of answer to that odd request I made of her. There's no longer any other reason for JB to contact me. I see. Thank you, Julia.
言っておくけど、あまりいい結果は期待できないかもよ。
Oh no. It's alright. I still want to know.
分かったわ。
I mechanically jot down JB's indifferent words in a notepad that was lying nearby. As the trees outside sway in the wind, a muted sound of rustling foliage carries through the otherwise silent room. After ending the call with JB, I tuck the black cell phone away and take out the one I normally use. The call history is filled almost entirely with a single number. Clicking on it, I bring the phone to my ear.
珍しいのね。ユージの方から外に出ようだなんて。
Yumiko and I walk leisurely down the road leading to the station. She's got a lot on her plate at work right now, but the moment I called, she managed to open her schedule. Yeah, there's something I wanted to talk about. Sorry about dragging you out.
ユージとこうやって出かけること自体が久しぶりだし、全く構わないわよ。
Yumiko smiles happily. I haven't told her the real reason for this outing yet. That was a deliberate decision. I didn't want it to be weighing on her mind from the very start.
今日はどこに行くの？
It's a slightly far off place, actually.
え？にしてはすごく軽装で出てきたけど。
True, now that you mention it. Yumiko glances over at me with a puzzled expression. This vague, riddle-like conversation continues as we climb the stairs to our local train station. Changing trains after a few stops, we make our way out of central Tokyo and head for the south part of the Kanto region. Colorful port cities flash by outside the windows. Eventually, these give way to peaceful-looking little valley towns. I just noticed that you were live and it came in at a bad time. It's all good, it's all good. As vivid shades of green start to dominate the scenery, Yumiko grows progressively quieter. The train's heading straight for that place. We wouldn't be going there without a good reason. Yumiko is no doubt starting to realize this won't be the light-hearted outing she'd expected. Our destination lies in the town where Yumiko spent the loneliest years of her childhood. Oh, they're going back to her grandmother's place, or grandparents' place. By the time we're standing before the building itself, her expression's painfully tense. Oh, the hospital.
ユージ、どういうことなの？
He's gonna make her see her mother in the first time in years. It's a large general hospital at the outskirts of a sleepy country town. A hospital the two of us visited several times together. Okay, so they have seen her mother since. But there should be no longer any reason for us to come here. Oh, so her mother died?
もうお母さんもいないのに。
Okay, her mom died at some point. Yumiko's mother, Sakaki Misako, quietly passed away 2 years ago. After the usual formalities with her relatives, Yumiko told me she'd never be setting foot in this town again. There were too many sad memories in this place. Just being here was painful for her. I know it's hard coming back here, but there's something we can't talk about anywhere else.
ここでないとできない話？
Yeah. We proceed slowly through the familiar hallways. After climbing the stairs, we make our way toward a private room at the very back, then come to a halt in front of the door. There's a certain person who's been visiting this place virtually every week since your mother's death.
ここへ？
Yeah. You know who I'm talking about, right? Don't tell me it's her dad. Yumiko casts her eyes down, pursing her lips slightly. Looks as though a name's come to mind. I don't know why any more than you do, but it's a fact. That person's been coming here for years, and begging the hospital staff not to breathe a word of those visits to anyone.
私たちに知られたくないから。
I silently nod. I know it'd be tough for you to meet him face to face all of a sudden, Yumiko. I'm planning to go in there and ask what he's doing. Do you think you could wait outside and listen? We can head back home now if that's what you want. I promise you, I'll promise you never to bring this person up again. But if there's still a bad taste lingering in your mouth, instead of trying to forget the past, how about we look for a way to accept it? Her eyes still turned downward toward the floor, Yumiko mutters quietly.
ユウジはもうずっと前に気づいていたのね。私があのことをまだ引きずっていることに。
Never expect you to put it just put it past you after this long. It's a hard thing. Yeah. Sorry for not saying anything until now.
いいの。
There must be countless memories running through Yumiko's head right now. Her empty childhood. The faint hope she found, only to have it snatched away. The man who took everything away. Her crushing solitude. The artificial cage where her heart slowly began to thaw. Her first act of real resistance. Our escape. At the end of a long struggle, a confrontation with everything on the line. And the former usurper who had everything taken away from him. What does his daughter feel for him now? Hatred? Something else entirely? I can practically see the tangled ball of conflicted emotions wriggling inside her mind. Eventually, Yumiko raises her head. Her expression's firm and determined.
私、聞くわ。ここで待ってる。
I see. All right then. Nodding to Yumiko, I step forward and slowly open the door to the hospital room. With the heavy sound of wood sliding across the floor, sunshine from the far window floods out into the hallway. I'm coming in. It's a hospital room with no occupant, dominated by an empty bed. The strong smell of the sun-faded old curtains overpowers the lingering scent of disinfectant still lingering in the air. At the side of the bed, a single man sitting in a folding chair, hands folded in front of him.
予定通りだな。さすがは軍人だけあって時間に正確だ。
Well, I'm not in that line of work anymore. But time passes quickly. Best to use it efficiently, wouldn't you say?
その通りだ。時間はすぐに過ぎる。
Sakaki Michiaki smiles stiffly as the words leave his mouth. His face, carved with wrinkles, looks like that of a much older man.
3年ぶりか。もっとも 君の顔などあまり覚えてはいないがね。
I remember yours very clearly. Seems to have changed pretty dramatically.
生きがいのなくなった人間など所詮はこのようなものだ。血と肉の入れ物はあってもそれを動かす意志が空っぽではただ細々と物を食い排泄するだけのゴミでしかない。
His eyes, once gleaming with ravenous ambition, are dull and sunken. His mouth droops slackly. It's as if his face can no longer support its own weight. There's not even a hint of the power and intensity that once defined this man. The last 3 years must have been a period of increasingly rapid decline. Sorrow seems to ooze from every pore of his body.
そんな私をここに呼んで何をしようというんだね。
Michiaki's voice, full of self-ridicule, implies a question. Here to laugh at a fallen man? I wanted to ask you something. What was driving you 3 years ago? No. What drove you for your entire adult life? Where did that ambition and greed come from? I couldn't help feeling you were lost somehow. That you might have even regretted the path you took. But that's why I've dragged you out here. So I can stick my nose into your business. Michiaki responds to this with a snort of amusement.
こんな非道な男にそんなことを聞いても無駄だろう。君の期待するような言葉など私が言うことはない。私から全てを奪った贖罪のつもりでそんな自己弁護を考えたのかもしれんが、シナリオとしては三流だな。出直してくるがいい。
Tell me then, why have you been retracing the footsteps of your wife and child?
どうしてそれを？
I had my superior do a little digging. You've been sighted in the vicinity of the hospital, the apartments Yumiko and I rented while we were on the run, and even your wife's family home. My final request of JB was an investigation into Sakaki Michiaki's current whereabouts and activities since his fall from power. Michiaki spent the last few years visiting every place his wife and daughter once lived, as if to vicariously experience their journey. And he did his best to keep us in the dark about it, even disguising himself and using false names. Only a person who regrets their past would do something like that. If you'd really thrown everything aside, you wouldn't go out of your way to visit places with a connection to your family. That's why I finally decided to ask. Was that life really what you wanted? Or were you just chained to it by something beyond your control? Had a feeling knowing the answer might be better than letting it all fade away miserably into the past. Michiaki heaves a heavy sigh. His sunken eyes gaze at the floor for a long moment before slowly turning up to me. There's a surprisingly gentle smile on his face. It's the resigned expression of a beaten man.
君の上司は最後まで私の気に入らないことをするのだな。
Blame me for this one. I'm the one who asked her.
妙なことをするものだ。おせっかいにも程があるぞ。
Michiaki, who had been leaning forward in his chair like a stooped old man, abruptly reclines as if to stretch his back. His face pointed at the ceiling, he lets out a very long sigh.
私が父から最初に帝王学を教わったのは何歳の時かわかるかね？
Alright. No?
9歳だよ。遊びたい盛りの子供に あの人はいきなり社会と金の話をしてきたんだ。
Throughout Michiaki's childhood, there was a constantly rotating cast of women at his father Kojiro's side. The women came and went one after the other, each calling herself his mother, offering him various forms of distorted love. Some were affectionate to him in the shallow way of a child playing with a favorite toy. Others were openly hostile, even abusive. But however they treated him, his father showed no interest whatsoever. On the other hand, Sakaki Kojiro was abnormally intrusive when it came to his son's studies and friendships. Perhaps it was because he had once failed the Tokyo Imperial University examination himself, but he demanded superlative academic results from Michiaki, insisting he would tolerate nothing less than admission to a renowned national university. Any friends his son made at school were thoroughly investigated by detective agencies. When Michiaki failed to produce superb results, or showed the slightest signs of disobedience, his father would respond with violence.
家が怖かった。学校から戻ることが苦痛で仕方なかった。
Desperate to escape his terror, Michiaki threw himself into his studies, ultimately passing the entrance exam for the nation's most prestigious university. This success extended to his personal life, as he obediently acquainted himself with the gaudiest tiers of high society. The more Michiaki met his expectations, the more his father came to demand from him.
大学に入った頃だったか。あの人は私に言ったのだよ。
Michiaki's voice trembles slightly, as if afraid to even revisit the memory of his father. It takes some time before the next words emerge from his mouth.
お前の自我などいらない。俺の人形になって、俺の死後も働けとね。
And guess what? You did, and we're a fucking piece of shit because of it. University didn't bring the freedom Michiaki had hoped for. Every step he took was decided by his father. Under constant observation, he lived as nothing more than an extension of another man's will.
そして私の自我の一切がついえ、完全な人形となるのを見計らったかのように、あの人は亡くなったんだ。
Michiaki turns his eyes toward the window.
それからのことは君も何かで聞いているだろう。後に残されたのは完全なあの人のコピーというわけだ。あの人と同じことをしていれば波動を進めると思っていた。だからユミコの行動が何一つとして理解できなかった。
This is why I at least say Michiaki isn't as bad as Makina's mom. Makina's mom is just pure evil with no reason. I don't understand me. Michiaki is not redeemable, will never be truly forgiven, but his upbringing is what transformed him into the monster he is, not inherent evil. Yeah. He had a reason for being how he is. He looked back on it, and he actually is realizing that was the worst thing to do. It's definitely not something right. But it doesn't, forgive him for what he did, and can't redeem him for it. He at least feels guilty for what he has done. Fucking bitch face, can't even remember her name. Yeah, she felt nothing. She was totally in it for herself. Have one daughter, then have an illegitimate daughter. This one's out of commission? Okay, illegitimate daughter, you're now in charge. Oh, she's starting to die? Okay, let's bring my real daughter back in. Oh, now she's been shot? Use my real daughter as spare parts for the other one. Yeah, she's like fucking terrible parent of the year. Michiaki's the runner-up. He's the runner-up. That's why you followed in her footsteps after losing everything? With yet another bitter smile, Michiaki slowly nods.
そんなことをしてどうなるわけでもないんだがな。ただ何かあるのかもしれないとすがるようにして同じ道をたどろうとした。
Did you find anything? He shakes his head.
何もなかったよ。話をしようにも妻も娘ももうどこにもいなかった。ただ何より恐ろしかったのはそんな状況にあってさえ悲しいとすら思えなかったことだ。
In fact, he shows remorse does show significant growth, whether we... Yes. He at least understands what he did was bad. He understands what he did was bad. He is, sorry about doing that, but he can't change any of that. There's nothing he can do to change that. There's no way he can be forgiven for everything he did. I'm certainly as hell not going to forgive him myself. But he did show that little bit of growth. That's far beyond what fucking Makina's mom did. She literally fled the goddamn country.
わかるかね？幼い頃から他人はクズだゴミだと教え込まれ、女は道具だと言われ続けてきた人間が今更になって家族の愛だの情だの理解できるわけがないのだよ。
Once again, Michiaki's gaze turns toward the ceiling. He's not shedding tears, but he's wearing the expression of a crying man. The expression of a man painstakingly forcing his face to take on the contours of sorrow.
私は悔いることすらできないんだ。
Okay, he wants to feel all of this, but he just can't. He physically can't feel it anymore. He's just so broken of a man emotionally because of his upbringing. He can't even feel. He can't actually truly feel and express this stuff. He wants to, but he just can't. Like where he says, even though he followed in their steps, he didn't even feel sad. It's not like some edgy BS. He legitimately feels frustrated that his mental state is... Yeah, exactly. He physically cannot feel and express these emotions. He can only wear the facade of it, because that's the best he can do. He's just been so broken down from his childhood up to now. Losing everything was definitely that final straw. That's what finally completely snapped his, just his entire mental state. Oh, my headset's dying. That's okay. I think we'll be done soonish anyway. When you've known right, it's easy enough to see wrong for what it is. But when all you've known is violence and cruelty and misery, they're simply facts of your existence. By looking at the situation outside, you can understand that you've fallen to the very bottom. And yet, the grief and remorse just won't come. There's no emptier feeling. Sakaki Michiaki is mired in the depths of an extraordinary despair. No matter how he moves, no matter what he says, the smothering darkness all around doesn't so much as stir. Honestly, I do hope he's able to get some professional help. He can at least improve himself for his own happiness. Yeah. Okay, this thing's actually going to die before the end of stream, so I'm just going to plug it in real quick. Thankfully, I keep the wire always plugged in and nearby. There. Yeah, his relationship with his daughter is never going to ever be mended or repaired in any way, shape, or form. The most he can do is just better himself for himself. That's it. That's all he can do at this point. Just make himself a better man in his remaining years. But he's not going to get anything. He's not going to be able to get any kind of connection with his daughter ever again. almost certainly gonna just die alone. Which is kind of sad, but he realizes he's the one who did this to himself in the end. He could have changed his ways, but he didn't. He could have changed, made things better, not being the exact copy of his father, but he still was. Though you can still put a lot of that blame on his father as well for, you know, doing that to him. There's a lot going around. His father for initially putting him through this stuff, but also he's also still to blame for, you know, just continuing to let that happen, just continuing on with it. He's sunk into an inescapable hell. It's the polar opposite of his daughter's suffering, where Yumiko felt pain. This man knows only crushing numbness. Might be hard to swallow coming from a brat like me, but I can sort of understand your feelings. There was a time when I couldn't even grieve for the things I'd lost. I tell Sakaki Michiaki just a little about my own past. About my misery, and my one small glimmer of hope. About the emptiness I felt that even when that was snatched away from me. About the despair I endured again and again until my heart grew numb. Until I couldn't even recognize it as despair. Wouldn't say I've completely recovered even now. But little by little, I've started to experience those feelings again. Do you know why? It's because of Yumiko. Having her in my life helped me regain something like normal human emotions. By protecting another human being, by sharing my life with them, I gained something in return. The impenetrable darkness inside of me was punctured with a few small rays of light. Honestly, I don't even think it's his father's fault. The enemy was the company. You have to keep in mind that was what was speaking at any point in the story was Ichibi group the company, not Sakaki Michiaki the man. It was the same for his father and grandfather. The want for power and greed corrupted him. Okay. Still, the cycle could have been broken at any time. Michiaki could have broken the cycle, but instead he perpetuated this, he just perpetuated the abuse and everything. He wasn't physical with Yumiko, like his father was to him, but he was emotionally abusive. But if I hadn't met Yumiko, there's no doubt I'd still be wallowing in the same despair as this man. I need to be on my way. But tell me something first. What are you planning to do from now on? Alright. In that case, I'm going to make a request of you. Do whatever you want with the time you got left, but don't give up on living. Staring straight into Michiaki's eyes, I continue in a forceful tone of voice. Don't take anything else away from Yumiko. Whatever you think of yourself, she still sees you as her father. Goodbye. Those final words seem to have an effect on Michiaki. I've already turned my back and taken a few steps when I hear him rising to his feet.
Yumiko.
When I turn around, Michiaki is looking at me with the expression of a man who's just reached a firm conclusion.
ユミコを幸せに。私のようにはしないでやってくれ。人間として幸せにしてやってくれ。最後の、私の最後の頼みだ。頼む。
This isn't the hollow husk of a man I was speaking to a moment ago. It's not the broken puppet who told me he was nothing. At the end, Sakaki Michiaki stands before me as a father. Don't think I can accept that request.
なぜだ?
Because someday, he'll have to help make Yumiko happy as well. But when I speak those words, the light fades from his eyes.
ユミコがそれを望むはずがないだろう。今ここにあの子の母も、そして父もいないのも、すべてはこのくだらない人形のせいなのに。
And Yumiko's a woman who can grieve for a puppet. Weren't you listening? She dragged me out of that same muck you're sinking in.
本当か?
Yes. I wouldn't even be standing in this room otherwise. Yumiko's lingering unhappiness wasn't a product of bitterness, much less a desire for revenge. It was something else entirely. And that's why I came here. To show them a path toward accepting the past. That's not going to be your final request. I'll come see you again. Make sure you stick around until then. Turning around once more, I head for the door. This time, there's no call from behind. Yumiko? Yumiko's not standing in the hallway where I left her. But it doesn't take long for me to realize where she's gone. The weather's nice today. She has to be there. She's on the roof. A powerful wind gusts across the rooftop. Sandwiched between the vivid blue sky and dull gray concrete, a small white thing flutters in the breeze. A slender milepost marking the spot where it all began and the spot where it's going to end. Her white skirt and long black hair dance in the air as I slowly approach. Wrapping my arms around that slim body from behind, I embrace it tightly. Yumiko must have realized I was approaching. Without flinching or turning around, she reaches up to grasp my hand. Oh, Yumiko. Shoulders trembling softly, she lets her tears spill freely down onto my arm.
ありがとう。ここに連れてきてくれてありがとう。本当に。
Affectionately stroking my hand, Yumiko thanks me again and again. The wind gusts strongly past us, but we accept it head on, steady as a deeply rooted tree.
ユウシにお願いがあるの。聞いてくれるかしら。
Yeah. Shoot.
私、父に教えてあげたい。
Hmm?
ユウシに教えてもらったように、父がそこにちゃんといるんだってことを教えてあげたい。
So she actually still wants a connection with her dad, okay. She chokes up repeatedly as the words leave her mouth, and yet her voice seems strong and firm. It's going to take a while, you know? Sakaki Michiaki has many, many empty years behind him. Filling that massive void won't be a small project, or an easy one.
平気よ。だって私は一人じゃないもの。
Her hand squeezes fiercely down on mine.
だから大丈夫。
I nod and squeeze back. The words I spoke to Michiaki were my honest feelings. It's only because of Yumiko that I'm here today. I owe her everything. Yumiko giving her father a second chance shows just how forgiving she really is. She could be completely justified in cutting him off and forgetting about him completely. But that's not Yumiko. Even if me, you, or anybody else should have said, "Have a good life, you rat bastard," Yumiko still wants to keep that relationship with her parents, because she knows it can be severed at a moment's notice with no final words to be said. Like, yeah, true. A lot of people have a problem with Yumiko giving Michiaki a chance, but I think it suits her character very well. Shows just how developed she became as a human, wanting to be better her torture rather than torture. Okay, yeah. Yeah, no, that makes sense. She is trying to be better than her father, 100%. And her being the one to try to forgive him, yeah, that's definitely being better. Does she have to? No, you don't always have to forgive you never have to forgive your abusers in any way, shape, or form. You are totally justified in just, refusing to talk to them. Cutting them off completely. Just, yeah. You're always justified in doing that. You never have to forgive them. You never have to talk to them again. It's your own choices. This is Yumiko's choice. Actually, she might not even forgive him. She at least wants to have a better relationship for the last who knows how many years. Yeah. I'd totally cut him off. A lot of people I already read that, never mind. She's not going to be bitter, she's going to be better. For this instance. Alright. Let's teach him together. With that, Yumiko falls silent once more. Grasping my hand, she gazes up into the sky and lets the wind break against her body. So personally, I really like this development with Yumiko, even if I personally wouldn't give him any chances. Yeah. Beautiful summer clouds drift by far overhead. The sky Yumiko watched before was always a lonely place. The vault of blue was a symbol of nothingness, a reflection of the emptiness below. But right now, I think she's seeing something very different up there.
Okay,
we're getting a little bit with JB and Chiata.
例の件の報告？はい、そうです。いいわよ。報告してちょうだい。東浜電鉄に絡む敵対勢力の排除ですが、筆頭であった門真陸将補の急勢により、その勢力は次第に弱まっています。
はぁ？
一部の組織暴力が旧来の組織と手を組んで資金集めをしているという情報もありますが、取るに足らないものかと思われます。
What the fuck?
榊道明のその後は？精神的にかなりの疲弊が見られましたが、現在は娘の榊由美子の支援により回復傾向にあるとのことです。以前のような暴挙には至らないと見て間違いないでしょう。彼も国益を損ねるようなところまで手を広げずに、抱えきれる程度にしておけばよかったのに。目をつけられちゃいけないところにバレた以上、 見過ごすわけにはいかなかったわ。
外事経由の情報では陸将補が内通していたとされる外国人の女も処理されたそうです。
What the fuck?
門間陸将補もバカなことをしたわね。そのままおとなしくしておけば議員にだってなれたのに、年がいもなくやってきた春に浮かれて欲をかいたせいで病死することになったわけだから。
門間陸将補の後継ですが、内田一佐の昇格が決まりました。
あの人畜無害のおじさんなら無難に務めるでしょう。
The only thing that changed my mind of thinking Michiaki couldn't be changed is that his final words to Yuji before he left. Please make Yumiko happy. If he were truly incapable of ever changing himself, he wouldn't have watched Yuji silently leave, and it's not like he would have gained anything from saying that either. The writing of the... Yeah. At that point, he didn't care what happened to him. He just wanted her to be happy in the end. Didn't have to involve him at all. He just wanted his daughter to finally be actually happy. Also, what the fuck is going on here?
適当な中間のポジションには首振ってハンコつくだけの人間がいればそれでいいわ。それにこの職場に関して言えば野心など一切ない方がいい。
全ては上層部の思惑通りというわけですか。
そうね。何もかもが最初から最後まで手のひらの上だった。実際に榊道明に対峙した彼らも私たちもね。
902残念ですね。結局ここもやめちゃいましたし。
まあ仕方ないわよ。もう子供も生まれたわけだし、そうそう無茶もできなくなる潮時だったのよ。何よ、私の顔をじっと見て。
寂しそうですね、先輩。
余計な詮索をしないでちょうだい。キアラ、コーヒー入れて。
はい、わかりました。以上で報告を終わります。
Okay, clearly a lot of time has passed, because apparently now Yuji and Yumiko are married with a kid?
さようなら、ユージ。
Oh my god, another time skip. 5 years later. 2020, we're 3 years away. I like how the game stole these questions to be picked up in future games with these scenes. Final time skip, final scene. Okay, let's go. Pulled along by a small hand, I walked down a gently curving road at the side of a familiar river. I have to bend over a little to match the height of my companion. Moving at an awkward trot, I do my best to keep up.
パパ遅いよ、もっと早く。
Maybe you could slow down instead, Yuma?
早くしないとお日様なくなっちゃうよ。
My entreaty, delivered with a lopsided half-smile, is shot down instantly. As Yuma hauls me forward with renewed vigor, I hear a quiet giggle from behind us. Look, Yumiko, could you stop laughing and say something to the kid? Ignoring this request entirely, Yumiko smiles over at us. One of her hands is occupied with a picnic basket, the other with a bag full of painting materials. She watches her husband and only daughter run noisily along with an expression of profound contentment on her face.
着いた。ほらパパ座って。ママはここ。
With practiced movements, Yuma brushes away a little dirt and guides us to our seats on the grass. The instant Yumiko settled herself onto the ground, Yuma slips in between her legs and onto her lap. Why don't you sit with me every once in a while, Yuma?
やだ、パパの膝の上硬いんだもん。
Kicking her stubby legs in the air, Yuma turns her face away in rejection. Damn! Damn! This kid's got a mouth on her. I love it. Yumiko, of course, just watches and laughs. Typical.
ママ、お絵かきしよう、お絵かき。
Looking back at her mother, Yuma makes her usual demand. That's her Yuji speaking? Damn straight it is! Finally someone to match him! Yumiko nods and retrieves a sketchbook from her bag. Aww! Oh, I love it! Also, you can see her... You can see she kicked off her shoes, too. Oh, this is adorable. Coming here has become part of our normal routine. It's always the three of us. Yumiko, me, and our only child. Pretty much every weekend, we're here performing a happy family number sweet enough that it'd likely nauseate any unfortunate observers.
ほら、ちゃんと持ちなさい。こないだみたいに汚しちゃうわよ。
Yumiko reaches down and makes Yuma shift the marker in her hand to a more normal grip. Last week, the budding artist in question ended up defacing one of her favorite blouses as a result of that sloppy marker technique. I'm glad I came back this specific time with milk. Nice. With this energetic response, Yuma immediately switches back to her bizarre initial grip.
もう、言ったそばからね。
Smiling wryly, Yumiko takes our daughter's small hand in hers and shifts the marker again. Hard to believe it's the same hand that once came flying at my face in unthinking rejection.
お父さんもやっと退院ね。
Oh. Sounds like all the tests were good. I'm glad. Yumiko nods brightly. Just the other day, the doctor in charge of Michiaki's case granted approval for a discharge from the hospital. Yumiko's years of steady, determined effort have finally been rewarded. Or should we say Yeah, he is Grandpa Michiaki now.
おじいちゃん退院するの？
Yeah. Good thing we had you around, Yuma.
どうして？
In response to this innocent question, I just stroke her head. Yuma's cheerfulness proved more than enough warmth to thaw Michiaki's heart. These days, he's smiling like a good-natured old man every time his granddaughter walks into the room. Sorry, I wasn't chatting much today. I was feeling like crap, didn't want to lash out. No worries, Nick. No worries, no worries. Sorry you're not feeling too great. Hope things change for the better for you soon.
今度は一緒に連れてきたいわね。
Yeah. Sounds like a plan. Yuma, losing interest in the conversation, scribbles passionately away at her sketchbook. Gripping the marker firmly in her fist, she piles vaguely circular shapes onto each other seemingly at random. Yeah, exactly. He's just a kindly old grandpa. Got some friends taking me out to lunch, so that'll bring a smile. Okay, good. Enjoy the lunch, man. You know where you're going for lunch? Sushi always brings a smile to my face when I go out for it. Looking up at me, she grins from ear to ear and points at the sketchbook.
Papa!
A mishmash of shapes that might barely qualify as something like a face stares up at me from the sheet of paper. Sorry, Yumiko. Seems Yuma might have taken after me instead of you on this front. Yes, this time fast food? Alright, nice. You know it's not good fast food unless you can feel your arteries tightening. That's when you know it's the best. It's just so greasy. It's gotta be so greasy you feel just everything tense up the minute you take a bite. That's when you know it's the good stuff. Hi, Whoops. Unable to find appropriate words of praise, I let out a fatherly sigh.
まだわからないわよ。これから上手くなるかもしれないのに。ね、ユマ？
これパパに似てるよ。
We gotta do something about her sense of aesthetics at least. As I heave another long sigh, my wife and daughter cackle at me. And when her laughter dies down, Yumiko mumbles a few words to herself.
こんな日が来るなんて本当によかった。
Stroking Yuma's head gently, she continues with 3 earnest words.
ありがとう、ユージ。
Once, there was only emptiness inside her. Yumiko rejected everything, avoided all communication, cut off the lines tying her to the world. Eventually, the passage of time softened her. Slowly, almost against her will, she began to form new connections. But at first, those bonds inspired only denial and guilt. Today, she's full to the brim with heartfelt gratitude. It flows out of her as naturally as she breathes. Every thank you is nothing less than proof that Yumiko's embraced this world with open arms, that she's actively chosen to live in it. That's my line. Thank you, Yumiko. After a long and painstaking search, we found happiness. Of course, it's a fragile thing with no constant form. We still have our struggles and our doubts. But it's not just the two of us anymore. There's something else for us to protect. Someone else to protect us both. The future we couldn't begin to imagine is slowly revealing its shape.
今度はママを描くね。
どんな顔になるのかな？
The warm, late spring wind blows gently by us. Ruby, honey, giving you some attention. I'm gonna let you out soon. Don't worry, we're almost done. We're almost done, miss. As the leaves rustle softly in the distance, Yuma's musical voice flies off toward the ocean. And in the sky we've drawn together, there's not a single speck of cloud. That's it, guys. That's it. Yumiko's route. Finished. And with that, Grisaia is done. Let's just enjoy these final credits, guys. Go, Ruby. Go on. Go on. is it over? How is it over, guys? You still want to do that collab tonight or another day? Really thinking about it right now. I was still wanting to do it, but let's save it for another day. Yeah, let's save it for another day, just so I can get a little more time to really kind of collect my thoughts on this, and be a little more hopefully properly prepared for an actual discussion. At least attempt to. So yeah, maybe we'll do it another day, actually, yeah. Alrighty. Cool. Once I had finished the game, me and Mochi are gonna do a stream together where we, like, talk about it in each of the routes. Just, you know, kind of get all our thoughts and feelings about each thing across. Compare what we got out of each one to each other, what we thought might have been the best and not so greatest. That kind of thing. If I had finished the game last night, we would have done it tonight. And I was initially gonna plan to still do it tonight, but I think it's better just to take a few days or what have you to really collect my thoughts. So I can at least be somewhat prepared. Right, I have to get your thoughts then. I gotta go now so I can mow the lawn before it rains. Hope you have a good one. It was a great experience. Nope, no problem, man. Thank you for being here. Thank you, dude. Thank you again for raiding in that day when I was starting this game. We got that, man. Grisaia is the thing that brought us together, bro. That's it, guys. That's it. Today marks the end of Fruit of Grisaia. I knew it was gonna come. I knew it was gonna come eventually. Didn't think it would take over a year, but here it is. We did it. All 5 routes. All 5 good endings, apparently. I still don't know how to feel about it. When you play a game for so long, it's kind of sad when you're just done. It's like, that's it. I finished 2 games this week. Finished Doki Doki Literature Club Plus with Jen, and now I finished Grisaia. But hey, all good things must come to an end. Yeah, thanks to just everyone in general for being here, playing through this game. Like watching me play through this game. This is fun. I'm so glad I decided to try and play this game. Just decided to give it a shot. I am so very glad. This is amazing. I love it. I love this game. I love this game. I love these characters. And well, I can say officially that 3 of 5 routes made me cry. Yumiko's route didn't get to me like Amane's, Michiru's, and Sachi's. But it was still really, really good. Let's switch over to just chatting now. You made it someone in chess? Nice! Nice, nice. Okay. Yeah, so, actually, because it is Saturday, I gotta get you guys the brand new schedule that I already posted in, the Discord. I know some of you aren't in Discord, so I mean, I always can bring it up here. Because I don't have anything going on tonight now, after we, made that, after figuring that out. Tonight in Discord will be a Discord watch-along night. We will start, the original Digimon Adventure from 1999. English dub Digimon Adventure. So that'll start at about 6 o'clock tonight, just so we got some stuff, just so there's something more, so we can at least do something. And I've just been feeling really nostalgic for Digimon in general, so yeah, I just wanted to fucking watch it again. I have not watched the original series in so goddamn long. So yeah, that'll start at about 6 o'clock. But for the rest of the week, you know, as in tomorrow, starting tomorrow, what is this week, guys? It's the end of the month, so that means Variety Week. What do I have on the docket this week? Very simply, tomorrow, 10 a.m., we'll finally play some Holocure again. You see the new update, all the new girls added, the new everything. Like, there's an entire other, like, little mini sub-game in there beyond the normal, like, Vampire Survivors type game. So that's something. And also, I put in the schedule, too, that Discord watch-along tomorrow night as well. Because why not? No stream Monday because of just how my work schedule goes. There's not enough time to do anything. Tuesday at 7 p.m. For a little bit, I'll be playing some Mobile Suit Gundam Extreme vs. Maxi Boost On. If you look at the title for that game, like the in-game graphic for that title, there's like 6 different fonts. Mobile Suit has a font, Gundam has another font, Extreme has another, Versus has its own, Maxi Boost has one, and On has its own. They couldn't choose a single font for this fucking title, so they used like 7 of them. So that'll be at 7 on Tuesday. Wednesday, we'll play. I know I put this in the Discord as something to potentially replace Grisaia for a short while, but I'm just throwing it on here anyhow for, Variety Week. Wednesday at 7 will be a little bit of Star Wars Clone Wars, the game that came out not too long after Attack of the Clones came out. So this was fresh, very, very fresh into the prequel trilogy. And I enjoyed that game as a kid. Thursday at 6, we'll play through a little bit of Jurassic World Evolution. Watch me build a park with dinosaurs and hopefully not kill everybody. And then Friday, while I have it on here as part of the Variety Week, it's also going to be going into our next visual novel before I continue with the Grisaia series. It'll be the Katawa Shoujo mod, Stories Beyond, Learning to Fly Act 1. So it's the Stories Beyond mod that has Learning to Fly in there. Because that's a mod that's going to be, at least as they're trying to do, what they're going to try to do is take a lot of the very popular fan fictions and other pseudo routes and, just put them all in one easy to get location. So you can just start it up. It's like, all right, I want to play that one. So in this case, we have the entirety of Act 1 of Learning to Fly, focusing on an entirely brand new girl who was part of the April Fool's update. It's not in Russian, Nick. It's in English. This is brand new. Well, I mean, Learning to Fly is not new. Learning to Fly is an ongoing Katawa Shoujo fanfiction. Literally, it's a fanfiction that's been ongoing, and it started a year after Katawa Shoujo was released. It focuses on the character Saki Enomoto, one of 2 April Fool's characters saying, yeah, in the next update for Katawa Shoujo, we'll be adding these girls in. All they got was a sprite and a very brief backstory. But people have latched onto these characters, and again, there's an entire fanfiction written out in acts, like it's a visual novel, that someone is now, transcribing into a visual novel format. It's hilarious, though, to think also that technically Learning to Fly isn't done. It's on its 4th act, but the writer isn't done with it yet. Last I was kind of looking up, they took about a year off, just for a mental health break or something. But it's still ongoing and still unfinished, so they only have Act 1 right now. So this is gonna be something interesting and different, because this is the first Katawa Shoujo mod I've ever played. It's also the first one I'll be playing since they dropped their pseudo ban on mods as well. So this will be something. This is technically a demo, really. And I just want to see it. Also, you know how much I love Katawa Shoujo. Everyone knows I love Katawa Shoujo. So if I can get more out of it through mods, I will take it. Especially using one of the more highly regarded fanfictions. Excuse me. Okay. Are they still going? Yes, they are. Alright. I've definitely taken up enough of your guys' time. Before I actually fully go, update, by about, maybe about Monday-ish, sometime next week, the kit I ordered from Japan will be here. So, the week after Variety Week, expect a Gunpla and Chill Day, where I build Mochi's Heavy Gundam. That's gonna be fun. That's gonna be really fun to do, because one, it's an exclusive kit, two, it's from the high-grade Gundam Origins line, so it's not like just taking the standard RX-78 Gundam and just, dipping them in brown paint. This is totally different. It's got different mechanics from the one I have. So that is something. So yeah, look forward to that the week after next. Anyway, we're gonna go and raid Oracle. Just having an actual earlier stream today, surprisingly. Playing some good old Yu-Gi-Oh! Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. So yeah, feel free to copy either of those if you wish. So yeah, that is going to be it from me for today. So yeah, thank you everybody for watching, commenting, lurking. Thank you again, Yusuke, for the raid. Appreciate it. And thanks again, Mochi, for just being, awesome dude I met through this game. Again, I will be back tomorrow at 10 o'clock for some Hollow Cure. But we will have our watch along in the Discord at 6 for some OG Digimon Adventure. So, hope you all have yourselves a great rest of your day, and let's send some love off to Oracle.